Sawyer Fredericks.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we won were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets regular, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave for the land of the free and the hope of the
And we get ready for the first of 3 road course races for the Xfinity Series, and it happens right here at Watkins Glen alongside Steve Letarte, Jeff Burton. I'm Rick Allen. It's a 7-turn racetrack, and we have got a lot happening here and a lot of speed, Jeff.
Yeah, there is a lot happening here. There's a lot of corners, a lot of long straightaways with a tremendous amount of speed. So we look at this track, Matt, it looks kind of simple, but it's not, Steve.
No, it looks much simpler than it is. 7 corners, but definitely very different corners. Let's ride along with Dylan here. He'll show us the best way to get around Watkins Glen as he goes down into turn 1. Very heavy braking, very bumpy, very easy to lock up the rear tires and wheel hub.
Yeah, no question. Leaving turn 1, he's approaching turn 2 now. If you don't hit turn 2 right, it messes up the S's. Long elevation change up the hill, got to hit all the marks right. If you don't hit this corner right, then the entire back straightaway gets messed up. It gives an opportunity for the guy behind you to pass you, or it also won't let you protect to try to hold that position back.
Yeah, you see Ty Dillon on the longest straightaway on the racetrack, also the heaviest braking zone. Hard onto the brakes, a quick right turn, then another left turn into the bus stop. As he comes out of the bus stop, it's another very dramatic right into the carousel, the longest corner on the racetrack.
Yeah, this carousel lasts forever. You're turning right. It seems like it'll never end. It's downhill. Hard to get the car to turn. Hard to make a rear grip right here. So this is really important, though, because, again, guess what? Another straightaway leading to another passing zone. Going to have to downshift real hard getting into this next to last corner.
Yeah, the last passing zone is right here into the left-hander, turn 6, a 90-degree left-hander, the most prominent left-hander on the racetrack. Then it's a quick cross the straightaway to prepare for turn 7, a very loose, slick in the back, sort of 90-degree corner that leads you onto the front stretch. And just like that, Rick, as simple as that, 7 turns, how hard could it be?
7 turns, as simple as that. They only have to do it 82 times. And by the way, the points are heating up in the Xfinity Series. They'll fire the engines when we come back.
Wonders come to life here at Watkins Glen.
The former champ is going to win here at Watkins Glen. Checker flag to Brad Keselowski.
Marcus Ambrose will score his 6th win at the Glen.
Getting ready for the NASCAR Xfinity Series race from the Glen, Watkins Glen International. A gorgeous facility, and the fans have flocked to the Finger Lakes area. As the drivers are strapping in, that means we're getting ready for the command to fire engines. 40 drivers will be taking on this 2.45-mile road course, which means chaos will be taking place if you're not on a clean racetrack, which would mean right in the middle of the pack. Let's fire the engines. Let's go trackside for the command.
Race fans, it is time for those most famous words in motorsports. Here to give the command, please welcome your Grand Marshal, Season 8 winner of The Voice, Sawyer Fredericks.
Drivers, start your engines!
Crank them up. Fired up. All right, light it off.
Yes, sir. You're on your own in hearing 6. He's fired up. I got you. When you get out there, I'll tell you where I see you.
Yep.
Right.
Engines are fired up. There's no reset in the Xfinity Series as far as points go, and things are heating up in the points. Will anyone have a problem today on the road course? We'll find out. Today's aerial coverage provided by our partners at Smithfield Foods. They'll be giving us some great shots of this racetrack. Left and right turns, elevation changes. Want to take a look at our starting grid. Up front, it's all Penske. Joey Logano with his first Watkins Glen pole in the Xfinity Series.
And in row 2, we have Chase Elliott and Kyle Larson, who was the fastest in final practice yesterday.
Row 3 is made up with our points leader, Chris Buescher, who'll be starting alongside Ty Dillon.
Boris said Regan Smith in row 4. Regan Smith finished second at Mid-Ohio in the last road course race.
Row 5, we have a pair of teammates, Brian Scott and Paul Menard.
Row 6, Elliott Sadler, Daniel Suarez. Daniel Suarez, though, is in a backup car after a practice accident.
Back in row 7, Brendan Gaughan won at Road America last year.
In row 8, we have Jeremy Clemens, who finished in the top 10 in 2 of the last 4 road course races, and Darrell Wallace Jr. is making his first Xfinity road course start.
Row 9, we have J.J. Yaley and Kenny Habul, who's only making his 10th ever Xfinity start.
Back in row 10, Ross Chastain coming off a 10th place finish at Iowa last week.
Row 11, we have Michael Self and Ryan Sieg.
Row 12 is made up by Ryan Reed and the 43 of Dakota Armstrong.
Back in row 13, Cale Conley making his first Xfinity Series road course start.
And we have another guy making his first Xfinity road course start, Peyton Sellers, starting 28th.
Row 15, starting 30th, is our 2000 Xfinity champion, Jeff Green.
And just behind him, in row 16, Todd Bodine. He's never finished outside the top 10 here in 7 starts.
Row 17, Kevin Conley and David Starr.
Inside row 18 is Morgan Shepherd, who took over the car from TJ Bell. He'll have to move to the rear of the field.
Back in row 19, Derek Cope making an Xfinity Series start. He was the 1990 Daytona 500 winner.
Row 20, Bobby Roos and John West Townley, who failed to make a qualifying lap yesterday, starting the field in a provisional.
All right, cars are starting to roll off of pit road. Let's hear from one of the competitors. Let's see if we can talk with Chase Elliott.
Chase, Jeff Burton in the NBCSN booth. You got us?
Yeah, man, 10-4.
All right, man. I heard several times this week you said how much fun road racing is. Can you tell us why?
I don't know. That's a good question, Jeff. I think just something different. You know, we don't get to do this a ton, so to have a chance to turn right some at a fast road course like here at Watkins Glen is pretty cool. So I've been having a good time so far this week, and hopefully we can have a good afternoon.
All right, well, you're in the heat of this championship battle. Is this a racetrack you feel like you can gain some points?
I hope so. I've been just really proud of my guys this week for getting our car back together last night and hopefully where it needs to be for today. So I have confidence everybody. Our pit stops were really, really good last week, so hopefully we can have some more of those today and just try to put together a solid race.
All right, well, good luck to you and your whole team. Have fun.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
We have the opportunity to ride along with a few different drivers today. One of those, of course, being Chase Elliott. We also have an onboard camera with Kenny Habul. He's got the Sun Energy in-car camera. He will start 18th today. Kyle Larson also carrying one of the cameras. He's got the Chevy on board. He'll start 4th today. And as I mentioned, Chase Elliott, we just saw him moments ago. He starts 3rd with the Xfinity onboard camera. And on the front row, Brad Keselowski with the Ford in-car camera will start 2nd to his teammate Joey Logano. They are warming up the tires as well as the brakes. Very important here at the Glen. We'll take a quick break and be back for the green flag. NASCAR on NBCSN is brought to you by Xfinity, the future of awesome. Things are about to get awesome here at Watkins Glen. Let's go to pit road. We'll start with Dave Burns.
Rick, Chris Buescher has a fast race car today to try to turn his momentum around, but how about a little good fortune as well? Back in 2012, Houston Stamper was the front tire changer for Carl Edwards on the 60 car in this pit with crew chief Scott Graves. They won the race. I'm just saying that could work in Chris Buescher's favor today. Kelly Stavist?
Dave, Boris Said has not raced an Xfinity car here at Watkins Glen since 2010, and if you ask him, he's never raced with equipment as good as Joe Gibbs Racing has given him today. He has spent much of his career teaching other NASCAR drivers how to road race, and now at 52 years old, he knows this just might be his best chance to pick up career win number 2. Boris Said rolls off 7th, Mike.
Kelly, after a 3rd place finish last week in Iowa, Brian Scott said he hopes that the bad luck that's plagued him and his race team over the last month is now behind him. Still, he's very leery of some of the pitfalls that may lay ahead. His main concern, he told me before this race, are the restarts and the start of this race. He rolls off 9th. He's in the 5th row. He says that's where the congestion is going into the corners. He's going to have to be very careful in the opening laps as he makes his way through traffic. And Marty, that certainly gives us something to watch for as this race begins.
Mike talked to Joey Logano moments ago, and he said when his calendar comes out at the beginning of the year, there's one Xfinity Series race that he wants to make sure is on it, and that's this one here at Watkins Glen. In fact, in his career at Team Penske, both he and Brad Keselowski have been in this race every year for the last 3 years. I asked Joey why it's so important to run the Xfinity Series race here at Watkins Glen. He told me it's just the laps, the experience. It's helped me so much on the Cup Series side. Oh, and it doesn't hurt that our cars are fast as well. Everyone in the garage area says the cars to beat today, that 12 and 22, those Team Penske cars are awfully, awfully quick. Rick?
Absolutely, Marty. Joey Logano winning the pole earlier, his first Watkins Glen pole in the Xfinity Series. Let's take a closer look at the numbers associated with the Watkins Glen International track. It is 2.45 miles in length, 7 turns, the longest straightaway, which is the back straightaway coming out of the S's and into the bus stop, is just over 2,000 feet. The elevation change here over 120 feet. Our race facts: this race just over 200 miles, 82 laps. Pit road speed, they've got to get all the way down to 40 miles an hour. That fuel window of 30 to 32 laps, Steve, comes into play really before we even start this race.
Yeah, that number of miles will have an asterisk next to it because that's how far these guys can think they could go if they ran hard the whole time. But all of these guys are going to be working hard on saving gas to work on their pit strategy.
So before this race starts, I have a confession to make and also fix a mistake all at once. That's a lot. That's a lot. So I didn't have my reading glasses on earlier, and I mispronounced. So this is Kevin O'Connell, not Kevin Conley, starting in the 13 car. So.
Look, I didn't have them this time. Yeah, I didn't touch your glasses.
That's the thing. He steals them because he can't see either.
I actually thought that there was a different driver behind the wheel of that car, but that's awesome. Kevin O'Connell in the 13. Little pep talk taking place for some of the drivers, including our pole winner, Joey Logano. Let's listen in.
Good one today, boys. We'll have a good race car. Nothing to lose. Tom Gordon on the box. Have some fun.
You know what that was? That was it. Everybody listening, if I run out of gas, that's Todd Gordon on the box. No, he sounds excited. He has a fast race car. There's no reason for Joey Logano not to be excited. And Todd Gordon, you know, there's so much pressure in all these races, and especially on Sunday for these Sprint Cup teams to go perform, to make the chase, to win races, that sometimes to come over to this side and just have fun with your Sprint Cup driver and try to win a race, it reminds you of why you got into racing, right? Today is all about winning for Joey Logano and Todd Gordon.
Let's hear how Joey Logano's teammate, how they got ready to go for the race. This is what they said on the radio just moments ago.
Good one down there, guys. Appreciate you coming out day early and getting extra reps, doing the best you can to be the most prepared you can. It means a lot to me. I'm going to do the best I can for you as well.
Sounds a little more businesslike over there.
It was a little more businesslike. The one thing that we've got going on with the 22, though, is he's been very good at this racetrack, especially in the Cup Series. Marty.
And Rick, we pit backwards here at Watkins Glen for fans who may not know, the reverse of what we would normally do. So normally Brad Keselowski would have the Xfinity Series team here pitting him this weekend. Greg Irwin's team has his own pit crew, but they brought the Cup Series team for this weekend. They always do that. Why? So they can get ready for tomorrow. So a little forward thinking by the Team Penske folks, bringing the Cup Series guys over today. And they started practicing. Trent Cherry, the coach of this team, told me Monday morning at 8 a.m. was their first pit practice to pit the car backwards. Steve, a lot of work goes into that, making sure it's perfect, not only today, but tomorrow as well.
Yeah, Marty, because your concern is not just the speed of the pit stops. Why that seems like that's your main focus. When you turn the car around backwards everything is in reverse order, and it's very easy to make mistakes. It's easy to step on a pit hose, leave a dump can in the pit box, removing equipment. And the one thing you can't have when we talk about strategy at the road course, Rick, is you can't have penalties.
And the field is making the right turn onto the front stretch. The fans all up on their feet, getting ready for 82 laps, 200 miles from Watkins Glen. Joey Logano on the inside, Brad Keselowski on the outside. Green flag is in the air. We're underway from the Glen. Two and three wide through turn one. They all get through. We have seen an accident in the last three races here on lap one.
See these cars side by side leaving the S's. They're going to not have any momentum coming down this long back straightaway. See if the cars behind them can catch them. It's always hairy right here. Getting too wide into the inner loop is very, very difficult.
See a few guys taken to the grass as they got into the inner loop.
You always have to be careful. That's one of the big differences here between Watkins Glen and other racetracks is all the grass around this facility. As people go through the bus stop and sling that grass out, if you get it on your grill, your car can overheat.
Into turn 6, left-hander. In turn 7, and already Joey Logano. Impressive as we see Chase Elliott move to the inside. That 42 and not able to keep his momentum up.
Open the door for Busch. You can see Chase Elliott put the block on. Chris is going to try to get underneath him, get into the corner. Chase did a really good job of blocking.
Chris Buescher, Chase Elliott, 1 and 2 in Xfinity point standings.
And we're going to see that, Jeff, today. That's what road courses produce. You have to, at times, drive defensively. If your car hasn't come in yet, you're still waiting for the tires to come up, air pressure, or you miss a corner, and you know you've lost momentum. When you get on the next straightaway, you need to run out of the preferred groove. Like Chase Elliott there was even a little low off the S's, protecting a little bit into the bus stop.
Blocking is a big part of road course racing. You have to take away the fast groove of the guy coming behind you. See the inner loop, you can see Regan Smith lost a lot of ground up, got in the corner, had to really check up to keep getting in the back of the car in front of him. Lost a lot of ground.
Regan Smith in the 7. We see right behind him Boris Said in the 54.
Regan's a good road racer. He does a good job on road courses. He enjoys them. He's really done a really good job.
Boris Said also an established road course racer.
Right in front of Regan Smith was tied in. It looked like he kind of got out of shape at the bus stop, and Regan Smith was trying to give him room to get it gathered back in.
And just so you guys at home know, I'm going to call it the inner loop, and Steve's going to call it the bus stop all day long. That's just one of the things that happens here. We call the corners a lot of different names.
And some drivers will call it 5, 6, 7, and 8.
We don't listen to them. We don't listen to them.
Let's take another look back at what just took place with Regan Smith.
So let me try this again. This is in the inner loop, according to Jeff, and you see the 3 of Ty Dillon gets very, very loose. Regan Smith drops his left sides through the grass, gets very high, and you see the train reaction behind them. They all instantly think there's an opportunity there and look for the pass.
And part of the reason that happens is it's hard to see in the inner loop. You know, you're right behind the guy. It's very difficult to see this corner. When you're on the straightaway, you can't see the exit. You can't see any of the corners. So when you get in there, sometimes you're just following the guy in front of you. You cannot see the racetrack, so you just don't get everything lined up properly.
Already we're hearing Brad Keselowski may be having problems with his gas pedal, his accelerator. Let's listen into the radio.
What happened on my gas pedal broke somewhere.
Talking about the tow hook on the accelerator, right?
I don't know, something broke.
All right, well, it's still going fast. 5 to the field here.
And they're reading him his lap times. Joey Meyer's spotter is reading those to him. Again, it's that top part of the gas pedal you guys can talk about. In case the throttle sticks, they can use that to pull it back. The Team Penske cars do run that here, both in the Xfinity Series car and the Cup Series car. That's what Brad Keselowski has said is broke inside of his race car. Shouldn't affect the lap times, though, should it, Steve?
No, it shouldn't, Marty. You know, as long as the mechanism of the gas pedal is still connected to the carburetor like it needs to be, he'll be able to have a good feel. It's really just a question of his comfort level. You know, if he's used to driving it with that toe loop over the top of his foot, and that's something he uses at different parts of the racetrack, it can make it a little more discomfortable for the driver. You know, he's just not really sure how to get in and around some of the corners.
So that's happening with second place Brad Keselowski in the 22, chasing after his teammate Joey Logano in the 12. Behind them, Kyle Larson Chase Elliott, and Chris Buescher. They are the top 5. There's Kenny Habul, and the reason we're going to focus in on him is he has something that we can show you what's going on. This is Kenny Habul's foot cam, and there is that device that they're talking about.
Yeah, you see right here on the left side of the screen, it's very obvious where Kenny Habul's pushing on the accelerator pedal. It's below his foot. And you see the black rod that vertically goes up and connects to the carburetor. But that other piece that bends over around the top of his toe, that's called a toe loop. And that's there because if the throttle gets stuck, that allows the driver to pull the throttle back up with his foot manually. There are springs attached to it that should obviously return it to the normal location, but there are mechanical problems, and that's more of a comfort issue than anything.
Yeah, when a throttle does hang, it's hard to get your head around doing all that stuff. It's very difficult. You think it would become second nature to get your foot up there and pull it back, but honestly, it happens so quickly, it's hard to make all that happen anyway. My first instinct was always to get it shut off.
And, you know, we talk about how large this racetrack is. We look at the bottom right next to the throttle position and brake where he's on the gas. There's a track map. That's a great layout of where Kenny Habul was relative to the leader.
And there is your leader, Joey Logano. The gap has closed, though, between he and his teammate Brad Keselowski, running second here at the Glen. Stream NASCAR and more with the fastest, most reliable in-home Wi-Fi on Xfinity. Plus, stay connected on the go with millions of hotspots nationwide. Download the NBC Sports Live Extra app and never miss a moment. Out in front, it's Brad Keselowski. He was able to get by the 12 of Joey Logano, and this is how it happened.
Yeah, you see right here, the 12 of Joey Logano catching the 19 of Jeff Green. It looks like Jeff Green's going to give the 12 the bottom, but then the 19 just turns right, cuts across the nose of the 12 coming to pit road. Joey Logano has to get out of the gas in the middle of the corner, gets momentum of the 22 of Brad Keselowski. The 22 gets by, but after he's been by, Jeff, he hasn't run away and hid very much.
No, it's so hard to pass here. You can see now that he has gotten behind him. He's been all over his back bumper, but he hasn't been out of 5-way to make the pass. He's making a look right here in the inner loop. Brad doesn't give it to him. He's going to make him earn it.
And that's some of the best strategy to pass here, Rick. Is we talk about 7 corners, and the possibility for mistakes is just keep the pressure on. Even if you don't pull out of line and risk your teammate by making a daring move, just be on his bumper the whole time to see if he has some issues. Is that an issue on the 42 out of the carousel, guys?
It looks like the 42 might be having an issue because we see Brad Keselowski and Joey Logano staying nose to tail, but the 42 of Kyle Larson was right on their back bumper. He now has gone all the way back to 5th. Chris Buescher up to 3rd.
Towards the garage. Stop it right inside here.
There you have it. He's going to pit road. So something amiss with the 42 of Larson. Dave.
Rick, they think it's a broken axle on Kyle Larson's car, and the weekend was going so well. He was very, very quick. He was in a great mood, according to team owner Harry Scott. And now it looks like the day might be done. They run back to the garage to try to take care of it. Rick?
Very unfortunate for Kyle Larson, who was running 3rd when that broken axle potentially happened.
Yeah, and the 88 of Ben Rhodes had the same issue in qualifying. When we talk about Watkins Glen, we use words like fast, and it's a speedway of road courses. But it's also hard on equipment. Road course racing is hard on equipment. Jeff, when you see these guys going over these curves straight through the bus stop, as the leaders catch traffic again, they're going to split the traffic.
And can the 22 hang on? No. The 12 in front. Can he hold on to that position as they go into 6?
Exiting 1.
And the caution will come out. Will Joey Logano get credited for the pass?
Stop right there. Stop.
Got flames coming out from underneath the 25 of John West Townley. Fire suppression systems on these cars, both in the area where the drivers sit, but also underneath the hood and in the trunk area, the back of the cars.
Obviously, he's not in a real big rush to get out, so he's probably feels like he has a fire extinguished, and sometimes it's hard to get out of these race cars in a hurry. And also, remember, there's a rule. You have to wait for NASCAR to get there. If it's an immediate emergency, you can egress, obviously, but he probably felt like it was okay and just wanted to sit and wait for a minute.
And we're being told by NASCAR that the pass wasn't made by Joey Logano. There are loops all the way around the racetrack, and the second that the caution flag comes out, that indicates that the last loop that the drivers passed is the position that they are in. So the 12 had not gotten by the 22 before the next loop that they received. And so it will be the 22 of Brad Keselowski who will start in front of the 12.
And that's so frustrating when you feel like you had the pass made and you go back to the next loop, the previous loop. You're like, I had him pass. You're questioning the call, but it's an electronic call. It's nothing to really argue, but it is frustrating.
All about timing. And when the caution flag came out, the 22 was still in front. We'll be back. Welcome back to the Zippo 200 at the Glen. NASCAR Mobile. It's the best way to follow your favorite drivers, build your own leaderboards, watch live in-car cameras, and you can listen to driver in-car audio. All you have to do is go to NASCAR.com/mobile. Brad Keselowski, Joey Logano, 1 and 2. Right behind him was the 42 of Kyle Larson, but they believe that they broke an axle. Could we hear that if we were listening in? Let's listen in.
So you're 515 right here. You're going to be catching some lap traffic.
So you can hear every time you go to the throttle, the engine revs up. What that is only one tire spinning on the race car. Both tires aren't working. So when he goes to accelerate, the one tire spins. But prior to all that, getting into the inner loop, you heard it wheel hop. You heard that pop, 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 pop noise. That was wheel hopping getting into the corner, and that quite possibly could be why the axle broke.
So let me try to take 15 seconds. When we talk about wheel hopping, when you go down into a corner and you lift off the gas and you get on the brakes, two things are slowing the car down. The brakes are slowing the car down, and the engine, the decel of the engine, is slowing the car down. Well, the engine is only decelling the rear tires, not the front. So when you drive down into a corner too deep, the engine does too much work, and those axles, drive shaft, the whole drivetrain, it twists and untwists like a bungee cord and actually makes the rear tires ratchet. And what happens when you twist and untwist it too many times? You break an axle. Second one we've seen today.
And just over 15 seconds with that explanation of that. But I thought it was pretty impressive. We'll be back for more Green Flag Racing from the Glen. Sunday Night Football returns tomorrow. Ben Roethlisberger and the Steelers face Teddy Bridgewater and the Vikings in the Hall of Fame game at 8 p.m. Eastern. It all leads up to NFL kickoff September 10th only on NBC. An incredible sight here at Watkins Glen. The fans packing the grandstands, campers filling up all of the camping spaces here in the Glen. A beautiful venue for racing. and they have seen a good one to start off with. An impressive pass by Joey Logano. We were able to watch it, and this is what Joey Logano had to say about it.
By the way, there's a pretty sweet pass to the lead that didn't count. See that? At least someone saw it. It was on TV.
So he's even thinking about that pass that he put on Brad Keselowski. That didn't count because they went back to the last loop.
That's the part he didn't like, was
Yeah.
that it didn't count.
Ben Rhodes in the 88s has started this race in 38th. He's up to 18th. The field now back in the hands of Brad Keselowski. He's on the inside. Joey Logano on the outside. Team Penske making up the front row. And we're back to racing.
So 3 wide getting in the corner. Kenny O'Bull made a pass, looked like to me, got out of line before the start finish line. He'll probably get penalized. Look at the 12 car way outside trying to work himself back in.
Came all the way onto that asphalt on the other side of the rumble strips and has lost about 5 car lengths on race leader Brad Keselowski.
These restarts have been pretty tame so far. As this race goes on, I think we're going to get wilder and wilder. We see a lot of incidents on restarts getting into turn 1.
Into the bus stop they go. An impressive shot there. Thank you, Smithfield Foods.
That shows you how much they try to straighten up that bus stop. They want to take as little a turn as possible to go through there, but already Joey Logano has closed back in to the bumper of Brad Keselowski.
So even after losing spots or position to Brad Keselowski, he's closed that gap back up. It seems as though that 12 is the fastest car on the track right now. He's just trying to find a way to get by his teammate.
That's a hard place to try to make a pass, and that right-hander before this long straightaway, that's very difficult, very tight right there. See Brad blocking a little bit.
Yeah, he did. He moved down a lane. He knew that that 12 had a run there. It's going to be interesting to see, though, if the 12 can stay on the 22's bumper up the S's and look for that heavy braking zone into the bus stop.
Chris Buescher, point leader for the Xfinity Series, is third. Chase Elliott, second in points, is fourth. Regan Smith, currently fifth, and then Paul Menard in sixth. Marty.
Rick, they're still trying to diagnose what's going on with the throttle inside the 22 car under the last caution. Brad Keselowski said he thinks it might actually be a throttle spring, not the pedal. I asked Greg Irwin about that little dust up back there heading in to the bus stop. Irwin said, I don't really know what's going on inside the car, but it could be the different tension from his Cup Series car to this Xfinity Series car. Steve, does that make sense to you?
Yeah, I absolutely could see that, Marty. You know, everyone and every car has a different sort of throttle, a throttle return spring. Even though they're both Penske cars, these Xfinity cars run a carburetor. The Sprint Cup cars run a fuel-injected system, so they have a throttle body. Just the mechanisms entirely work differently, so it could be a different feel.
John West Townley in the 25. We saw the fire underneath the hood of that car. He has been checked and released from the infield care center. Chase Elliott running fourth, Kelly, and about to lose a spot to Regan Smith.
Yeah, and right now he's just really trying to focus on hitting his marks. That's what he said before that caution. He said the car feels good. He's not getting the job done at the moment, but we've heard him say how much he enjoys road course racing, yet he classifies himself as bottom of the barrel when it comes to it. But I got to tell you, the stats just don't support it. He was just one of 2 racers last year that finished in the top 10 in all 3 road courses, along with Elliott Sadler, and he had the most points and best average finish of any of these guys on road courses last year.
And around he goes. Coming
and
through.
Around he goes.
Yeah, the bus stop. He goes around. We stay green. We'll see if he gets it going and headed in the right direction. We will.
Teammates there. It looked like the 9 of Chase Elliott was trying to get back in front of Regan Smith. Had a decent run off the top of the S's, but not a tremendous amount of momentum to get him by the 7. He tried to enter the bus stop side by side. The 7 held his ground, and you mentioned it earlier today. Jeff, there's just not room for 2 cars to go through there cleanly.
It's just so hard. The curbs are so tall. You know, somebody ends up getting in the grass. It's just hard for 2 cars to fit in there. You see, here's the 9 car on the inside trying to work past the 7. The right side's all the way in the grass, gets into the side of the 7, and around he goes. Very difficult to try to make that pass unless you're all the way up next to a guy. I mean, clearly next to him. You don't try that. He was too far behind to try to make that work. Tried to late break him, tried to beat him under braking, didn't want to run into him, got off the racetrack, ended up spinning out.
Dropped him all the way back to 25th in the running order. He was running top 5. That's how big a mistake will make if you make a mistake. And we see Joey Logano right behind that 22 of Brad Keselowski for the lead.
Just a little too aggressive trying to make that move into the inner loop. It's a great passing opportunity, but you cannot, if you're trying to lake break somebody like that, that guy better not be a good breaker at all. You better be able to really outbreak him, and he wasn't able to do it, but he ended up spinning himself out. Move right here.
See if he can make it happen. Looks to the inside, can't get to the inside of Brad Keselowski. Now a good run as they get into 7. He'll have to check up. Might take away that outside line from his teammate, and now they race down the front stretch for the lead. Joey Logano kept the momentum up, stayed to the outside of Brad Keselowski, and passes him for the lead as they go into 1.
That's an impressive move on the outside and the last right-hander to be able to work that momentum down the front straightaway and beat him into turn 1. Very impressive and aggressive move. That too is a difficult place to pass. It gets really narrow getting into there. A lot of times we see cars try to make a move there. We end up seeing a wreck.
Logano led the first 5 laps. They got in behind one of the lap cars. Brad Keselowski was able to lead the next 11 laps, and now Logano back out in front. It's been Penske since the drop of the green flag.
I get the feeling Logano is going to pull away from him right now. I felt like he was faster than Keselowski. Keselowski was holding him up some. We'll see if he can stretch it out, but it just felt like to me Logano has had the fastest car since this race started.
Yeah, Keselowski almost seemed to admit that as well in the front stretch. When Logano got the run, he decided to let him go. Although right here, Keselowski's right back to his bumper out of the carousel. It's almost like there's a tale of 2 different tracks here. Logano's good in a few corners, Keselowski better than the other 2.
Through turn 7, back onto the front stretch. In front of the main grandstands here.
I think sometimes also when you do take the lead, you have to readjust yourself. You've been following a guy. The view is a little different now. Now you can see the whole racetrack. You can see your points that you want to hit in the corner. You've been following a guy. Now everything's really clear. Sometimes it takes a lap or 2 to start hitting your marks and getting into that rhythm.
42 of Kyle Larson is making his way back out onto the racetrack after fixing the rear axle.
And even 10 laps down, the 42 car runs for owner's points. But even more importantly, Kyle Larson is here to get laps for tomorrow's Sprint Cup race. So if they want to get this car repaired, get him back on the racetrack and continue to make laps.
Brad Keselowski chasing after his teammate Joey Logano. Keselowski on the radio just moments ago had this to say.
Seems like we do really good exiting the carousel, but then Joey does a little better in the 10. Like, we're good exiting 11 to the chicane, but then from the chicane to 11, Joey's better. And I see just enough not to be able to confirm that, but that's how I feel.
And that was after Brad Keselowski asked his spotter Joey Meyer to kind of walk him through a lap and tell him where Joey Logano was a little bit better. And they said every time, you guys picked up on it, that Brad is very good through the carousel. Jeff, I'm curious, do you want that much information from your spotter trying to diagnose where you can maybe pass someone or stay in front of someone?
Oh, no question. I think you want as much information as you can get your hands on it. If you know someone's better than you in a particular area, then you want to try to fix it. You want to try to make your car better. You want to make an adjustment as a driver. Anything you can do to gain an advantage and recognize your disadvantage, I think that's what you need to be doing.
Penske 1 and 2. Right now it's Joey Logano back in front. Brad Keselowski chasing here at the Glen. Still close racing between the two Penske drivers as the 12 peels off to head to pit road. We're seeing green flag pit stops. Brad Keselowski now out in front. Joey Logano on pit road. And it's a long way down pit road at 40 miles an hour. Darrell Wallace Jr. was just on pit road.
Yeah, 40 miles an hour all the way down to pit 1. Most important thing here is you can't have a mistake. They've proved they have fast cars.
Darrell Wallace Jr. actually got a penalty on pit road. Marty.
Todd Gordon normally calls a shot for the Cup Series team for Joey Logano. He's also doing it in the Xfinity Series today. You're going to see a track bar adjustment. Logano said early on he was fighting loose, but as the run went on, the car got a little bit tighter for Logano. That one round down on the track bar. Also, Elliott Sadler said he needs to be looser in the left-hand turns, tighter in the right-hand turns for Elliott Sadler. 4 tires on pit road for Elliott Sadler. Next time down pit road, Brad Keselowski will pit. They wanted to go 1 lap further than the teammate Joey Logano.
And that's not good. That was off of Joey Logano's car. The gas man not able to pull that away from the car. And again, we mentioned this is different. Everything's backwards here at Watkins Glen. Take a look.
It is backwards. The fuel man has to lean the other way, and you see right there, he's used to pulling the gas can the other direction. When he tries to pull it to his left, doesn't work. He gets stuck in the car. And that right there, it falls out, so he didn't drag it onto the racetrack. But almost at this point, you'd rather have him drag it onto the racetrack because it's going to be a penalty. He's going to have to come back into pit road.
Kelly.
We see Regan Smith making his stop. They saw that gas can anticipate a yellow, so they brought him in quickly. He started off tight, then got a little bit loose as that run went on. We're seeing he's going to get 4 Goodyear tires, and now we see that caution indeed is out.
And it comes out for the fuel can. On pit road was the 22 team. They're going to finish up their work, Marty.
It's going to be a huge break for Brad Keselowski. Oh, he stalls it, leaving pit road. That shouldn't hurt too much. Again, we're under caution. They did say pack it with Sunoco fuel. They did that. 4 fresh Goodyears. And handling-wise, the car was a little bit free, but they were on pit road clearly before the caution came out. Very clean there and got their stop done. Now they'll be able to cycle back through, and it should be a huge break for Brad Keselowski.
It'll be a pass-through penalty for the 12 team of Joey Logano. Equipment leaving the box. But the caution comes out. Typically on an oval, everyone would dive onto pit road. On a road course, they don't want to be on pit road under a caution.
Well, no, the problem you have now is if you haven't pitted, you're kicking yourself if you're a crew chief, because the window of opportunity was when you saw that dump can end up on pit road. I thought you saw the 9 of Chase Elliott, 7 of Regan Smith, Daniel Suarez, the 22. All those crew chiefs understood that this is going to be a caution. We can't leave this fuel can here, and you want to pit before the caution, because now if you pitted, you didn't lose a lap. Caution comes out, you catch back up. Everybody who hasn't pitted comes to pit road, and guess what? Now you're back to the front of the field.
And some of that was track position. If you were far enough back where they closed pit road and you weren't able to get to pit road prior to them closing pit road when the caution came out, that's just bad luck. So that's what happened with the 9 car. Then now the 9 car is going to be penalized for pitting too soon. He was on he got on the pit road after pit road opened, I'm assuming.
Yeah, so what happens is
closed rather.
Right,
right here, see the light. See the light on the right.
Yeah, right here it's green, 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 red. Now you see it's clearly red, and Chase Elliott is 80 feet or so from the yellow line. Now you tell yourself, there's no way Chase Elliott can get back onto the racetrack, but he doesn't have to. If Chase Elliott tries to run pit road speed without getting service, there's no penalty. Now that all happens very, very quickly with like slow motion in the replay. So Chase Elliott, those guys decide to stop. That's the gamble. I would stop as well. You're committed at this point. If you don't know, you're better off to stop. You hear half a second.
Yep,
and that can be the difference between a good run or a bad run, because now Chase Elliott is going to have to go all the way to the back of this field.
And remember, he's second in the point standings, just 20 points behind Chris Buescher for this championship, trying to defend his title. He was the 2014 Xfinity Series champion.
But Buescher did not get on pit road either. So Buescher at some point is going to have to pit. So, they're going to end up in the same place, real close to the same place on the racetrack, because Buescher's going to have to pit. The 62 didn't get on pit road. The 2 of Scott didn't get on pit road. So all these guys are going to have to pit.
This also is a big break for the 12 for removing equipment. I know he created the caution with his equipment being on pit road, but his penalty would have been a pass-through on the green. Here he has to come down to pit road. He can put a little more fuel in the car, reset it, and go from here.
So not as big of a penalty for the 12 of Joey Logano. We would normally have been given a free pass to one of the drivers. It would have gone to Tommy Dreese in the 26, but Dreese had a penalty, so he is not eligible for that free pass, so none will be given under this caution.
Awkward circumstances. Awkward circumstances. And at this point, it's not what you want to do, but the whole front half of the field is going to have to come to pit road. This is the pit window. They're going to need fuel in 6 or 8 laps again. So I clearly expect the 60, 62, the 2 of Brian Scott, 51 of Jeremy Clements will all have to come to pit road at this time.
You may see them put on 4 tires, fill with fuel, put on 4 tires, and they may pit a little while again later just to do fuel. We'll see what they do 7 or 8, 10 laps from now.
And we're seeing quite a few of the cars, as you mentioned, Steve, coming to pit road. Dave.
And as Brendan Gaughan's crew chief said, it's not ideal, but it is what it is. Brendan in the middle of the screen there. His car was tight, the left-handers. They'll get Sunoco fuel, Goodyear tires, and adjustments. Same for Chris Buescher on the top of the screen. Small consolation, leading a lap for a championship point, but the strategy not working in their favor. Mike?
Brian Scott saying he's loose, especially on low air pressure early in a run, but that goes away. The biggest issue he has is carrying the nose through the S's. No significant adjustments on the 2, just Sunoco, race fuel, and 4 tires.
And again, the reason for this caution, Joey Logano was on pit road under green flag conditions, servicing that car. They couldn't get the gas can to release. Equipment out of the box. NASCAR on NBCSN is brought to you by Toyota. Let's go places. And by Xfinity, the future of awesome. You can get the ultimate pass to every moment of today's race from Watkins Glen with Race Buddy. Right along with different drivers through multiple HD video feeds and follow the action with a live leaderboard. Tune in at NASCAR.com/Race Buddy. Let's check in with Marty Snyder. He's back on pit road.
Back on pit road on purpose. Todd Gordon called him in. They have to start at the tail end of the longest line no matter what they do anyway. So every time they're just going to keep topping off. Also, Todd Gordon decided to put a little small piece of tape on the very right top part of the grill. Just help them out a little bit. Car was running a little bit cool for Joey Logano. So they're going to they added that tape and filled them up once again with Sunoco fuel.
It's the same situation. You see the 9 leave pit road in front of the 12 of Joey Logano. Well, the 9 came to pit road too early. We saw that in our replay just a few feet before the caution light, or excuse me, the pit entry light turned red. He got caught being too early on pit road, so he has a penalty. So they're going to do the same thing every time they come around under yellow. Top the fuel off.
There was a few penalties handed out. The 62 was too fast. The 88 was through too many pit stalls. Pit road being the opposite direction for both drivers and crew members has been very difficult. Dave.
Rick, as for Brendan Gaughan, he was actually in the wrong gear. He forgot to put it into first gear. He left it in second, so he was looking at the tack really with the wrong gear in mind, and that's why he sped.
I can tell you, Rick, that's not a little too fast.
That's a lot.
I'm pretty strong with my math and my gear ratios, and I can let you know that's not a couple miles an hour over. You must have thought I'm really gaining on these guys.
I know somebody else that's done that.
Hey, let's listen into the 9 radio.
Yeah, I mean, Ernie, if this opens up us opportunity to do something different than everybody else, I'd say let's take it, while we're in the back. Yeah, 10-4, I'm already on that. That's exactly what I'm doing now. I had our pit window already moved. We were going to get ourselves out of it. It's going to be fine. This first half of the race, all we're doing is just doing time anyways. It happens after lap 53 is when this race matters. So we're going to be smart here. It's going to be fine.
Okay, strategy.
Yeah, and it makes perfect sense. What you heard Ernie Elliott, Chase Elliott's crew chief say is, or excuse me, Ernie Coates, Chase Elliott's crew chief say, is that the first half of this race, while it's great to hit the first pit window, everyone knows that if you're going to be lucky, you want to be lucky around the lap 50 to 53 marker, because that's the last window everybody's going to look for fuel. And if you go on a pit right before a caution comes out, you'd much rather it be that one.
And the lights come back on the pace car, meaning they'll have to go around one more time. So we'll take another quick break.
welcome back. We're getting ready to go back to green here at Watkins Glen, and Daniel Suarez in the 18 car making his first road course start in the Xfinity Series. Potentially a problem, though. He's saying that the car is getting stuck in gear, specifically when he downshifts from third to second. He will restart seventh, but something to watch for, Rick.
Yeah, remember that's a backup car. He had issues in practice, and it was coming out of the inner loop or bus stop. Got into the tire barriers very hard. So now they're 2x2 once again coming through turn 7. Pace car moves over to the right. Looks as though Landon Cassill is going to take this opportunity in the 01 to do his pit stop. And green flag back in the air. Keselowski able to hang on to the lead. Regan Smith was on his outside. They're 3 and 4 wide through 1. Up through the S as they go. Brad Keselowski, Regan Smith, Ty Dillon, Paul Menard, Daniel Suarez, the top 5. Forrest said, Kenny Habul, they're 6th and 7th. Elliott Sadler, Ryan Reed, Chris Buescher, the top 10.
Really impressed with these restarts so far. They've been very clean. Not a lot of problems getting into 1 or up through the S's. That's like I said earlier. I think that's going to change as the race starts to wind down.
Michael Self in the 0 stopped on the racetrack, so that brings out the caution. Didn't look like he could get it fired, but then we just saw it roll for a moment.
Can't move.
And so the caution comes out again. You mentioned how it seemed like they were pretty tame on those restarts. We get to try it again.
Yeah, clock's ticking. Yeah. Seen this picture before. When it starts, it's going to start and it'll be big. So, you know, everybody starts to fight for position. Right now, everybody's been real calm, worked with each other pretty well. But when it really starts to matter, the intensity is going to pick up and get into 1. Somebody's going to overdrive it. We see it every race here. You know, it's so hard to pass. It's just so hard to pass. We saw how long it took Joey to get by Brad when he got behind him. So on this restart, it's an opportunity. It's a chance to go pick up some positions. Dave, you got some on the 0?
Yeah, Michael Self was reporting back to his car owner, Johnny Davis, something in the drivetrain broke. Sorry. And Michael is a good road racer. He's got 6 wins in the K&N Pro Series West, including 2 at Brainerd, Minnesota. So he expected to do well today. Unfortunately, he's going to be done.
Take another look. There's Michael. Back where we mentioned chaos and not able to get up to speed.
Everybody did a great job. The car is in the front of the pack. We restarted 12th. You know, toward the front of the pack, and everybody was able to go around him. Nobody got into him. Nobody wrecked. Everybody did a really good job. Spotters did a good job of letting the drivers know.
So the 3rd caution has come out at Watkins Glen. We've completed 27 of the 82 laps. And when we saw everyone diving onto pit road, it seemed as though there were quite a few penalties. Entering his pit stall, the 6, Darrell Wallace Jr. drove through 3 different stalls. 88 did the same thing. Can't do that. And the 2 on exit. Brian Scott also coming off of pit road, a penalty. So we had speeding penalties. We had equipment leaving penalty or the pit box, and we've also had guys going through too many stalls, entering their stall, and too many exiting their stall.
Yeah, and just remember that those replays we saw there were from the NASCAR camera system that now officiates pit road and whether you're in too many pit boxes or not. We haven't talked about it a lot now that we're in the second half of the year, but that's new for this year.
Right.
And this is the first time we've had it at Watkins Glen, where the drivers are on the left side of the car going backwards down pit road. And perhaps, Jeff, this is something that's always happened, because those weren't gross infractions, but they're still ruled. They still broke the rule. They touched the pit box they couldn't touch. But being on the left side of the car, Jeff, maybe the drivers just don't have a good perception of how much distance they have to that right front corner.
Yeah, I think that's a great point. I think that's very possible. That is what's happening. You're accustomed to driving over the pit stalls while you're in the left side and you're driving over them. In this case, the right front's driving over the pit stall, so you may not even know that they're driving into the pit stalls.
And add the fact that pit road has a little bit of elevation change as well. So a lot of things going on pit road. We'll be back for the green flag here at the Watkins Glen International Raceway. Let's take a look at today's Toyota driver update. Daniel Suarez, 5th. Boris Said in 6th. Sydney, Australia's Kenny Habul in 7th. Kenny Habul, also a sponsor for Denny Hamlin. Was able to get a win as a sponsor earlier this year in the Xfinity Series. Sun Energy One is the company that he owns. And that sponsorship he's given to Joe Gibbs Racing. And now the opportunity to get behind the wheel and establish road course racer himself. And right now Habul running 7th. 2 by 2 they come back to the start finish line. It's Brad Keselowski on the inside, Regan Smith on the outside. They fan out 3 and 4 wide as they get into turn 1, and Kenny Habul had to go all the way into the grass to avoid contact. Back up the S's. Suarez trying to get by the 54 of Boris Said. Was able to make the pass before the bus stop. Sweeping right-hander through 5 into 6. As they come right at you. Brad Keselowski with an impressive lap has put some distance between himself and Regan Smith. Paul Menard in the 33 just behind Regan.
Two underrated road course racers right there, Paul Menard and David Regan. They both do a really good. Sorry, Regan Smith. They both do a really good job of driving. Very smooth race car drivers. Road course racing kind of fits their style, I think. They're fast, they're smooth, they don't make many mistakes.
Just behind Paul Menard, Ty Dillon in the 3, and we've got a spin back behind them. Looks like Ryan Reed in the 16 around.
That was the 88.
We stay green. He was running 14.
Yeah, the 88 just ran him over.
And they're saying that he had a little help. Ben Rhodes in the 88. Let's take another look. He was on the brakes hard, but got into the left rear quarter panel.
88 a little bit too aggressive there, trying to over brake. 16 had no idea he was coming at that high rate of a speed. Turned right to go into the line that he was supposed to be in, and the 88 was there. He just had no idea he was going to be there.
Mike.
Of course, the immediate concern, guys, was whether or not they'd have to come down pit road for damage, but the spotter said there are no tire rubs. Everything looks okay, so they're going to stay on the track right now and stick to their strategy.
And hopefully he didn't flat spot those tires when he slid, got turned around. I know he locked them up, but it looks like they were rolling a bit. A pretty good gap now between 1 and 2. Brad Keselowski, Regan Smith just in front of Paul Menard.
Saw the start. See, Kenny Abdul, he had started 7th. Tried to make a move on the inside. It didn't work for him. He had to get on the brakes hard, lost a lot of momentum. It's a good example of how sometimes being aggressive costs you. He ended up losing 2 spots and trying to make a pass. He's in way too deep. 18's coming down. He's got a lift to keep from getting into him. Lost all his momentum. The one of Elliott Sadler goes by him, ended up losing 2 spots. Dave, you got something on the 20?
And Jeff, remember, it's been about a year since Kenny's been in a car, so he's trying to get spots where he knows he can get them. The restart would be a good opportunity. However, on the very first restart, NASCAR warned him, you guys talked about it, about pulling out too soon. So he's trying to be aggressive, but he had to pull it back just a little bit.
Yeah, we go back to that initial restart. He looked like to me, he got lucky not to get penalized because he was out of line before the start-finish line, and I think NASCAR cut him some slack there. So, yeah, you can be aggressive, but if you get out of line before the start-finish line, you're going to be penalized, or you should be penalized.
They gave him a warning. Normally that happens at the driver crew chief meeting, and the reason that he wasn't penalized is he gave the spot back before he entered turn 1. We'll see a good battle continuing for second between Regan Smith and Paul Menard. You just can't make a mistake on this racetrack because Paul Menard's ready if Regan Smith does make a mistake.
This is the perfect case of need to be good in the right locations. You know, Paul Menard definitely seems to be faster than the 7, but is he faster in the right areas where he can pass? He was good through the carousel, but so wasn't Regan Smith. And you see here, down into turn 6, he's to the 7's bumper, but he doesn't gain, Jeff, in the corners where he needs to complete a pass.
That's right. This is the corner where he has to be much better than he's got to be able to accelerate, out-accelerate the 7 and be able to turn underneath him. I think he's got a good run on him right here. Let's see if he can outbrake him. He's going to look.
Looking to the inside as they go toward turn 1. Can he outbrake him into turn 1? He has the preferred line, and Paul Menard is going to make the pass on Regan Smith.
I think Regan Smith did a great job. He saw Paul coming. He thought Paul was a little bit quicker. He could have fought for that position and maybe kept it, but at this point in the race, it wasn't worth it. He gave the spot up, lived to fight another day.
Now we'll see if Regan Smith can stay in front of Ty Dillon in the 3 car. He's closing the gap now and is on the back bumper of the 7. Race leader Brad Keselowski already through the bus stop. 2nd, 3rd, and 4th. In 5th now, Boris Said.
And there's Logano all the way up to 9th already. Had that misfortune of the fuel can leaving the pit box, had his penalty. He's gone up 8 spots. He's closing in on Sadler and Suarez next, Marty.
And that's since the last restart. The restart before that, Steve, he was 22nd, so he's moved up even a little bit more than that. Joey Logano has worked his way into the top 10 now, and he's only 6 seconds behind his teammate Brad Keselowski, who did ask how far has the 12 come up through the field.
So when you are a Cup driver racing in the Xfinity Series, you're not worried about points, and you have a really fast car. Sometimes it's so much fun to have to go to the back. When you're that fast and you can pass people, it is so much fun. It's so much less stress. You just get to go out and race and enjoy it. And you almost want the penalty sometimes when you have a car that fast.
Brad Keselowski has separated himself from second by 2.6 seconds at the Glen. Brad Keselowski still in front of the field, but as you saw in side by side, some issues with the 88, and the caution will come out for Ben Rhodes. And Mike, what happened?
And guys, I just spoke with Dave Ellens, and all he would tell me is they blew up. They had been feeling it, a little bit of a vibration for the last half a lap or so, but it just let loose, and obviously they can't get back to pit road.
Also, J.J. Yeley was struggling. We see the 28 of Yeley as he goes into turn one. Saw Brandon Godovic move out a little bit wider, and Yeley decides he needed to take the grass.
Yeah, Brandon turned right as if he was going to stay right, and he turned back left. JJ had no idea he was coming back left, got run back into the grass. I don't think he hit the wall there, though.
He's thankful that's paved now, not the old gravel trap that Watkins Glen used to have.
18 also with an issue, right, Kelly?
Yeah, Daniel Suarez has been dropping back through the field. Remember that shifter issue I was talking about? Well, it got worse. He said it is now stuck in third gear. The team just told him to be as smooth as he can and right around until a caution comes out so they can come look at it. Well, they got their caution, but it has cost him a lot of positions.
If there was a gear to be stuck in, I would say that third isn't a bad one here. You just can't get up to speed on the backstretch.
You're being a very positive.
I was going to say, so the good news for Daniel Suarez is he's going to get excellent fuel mileage. The problem for Daniel Suarez is he's going to do it about 6 seconds off the pace.
Right. Marty, the 01 also stopped.
It is a fuel pump issue for Landon Cassill, so stuck out on the racetrack, and I believe he made his way back to actually pit road, didn't he, guys?
He did.
Yes, he did.
This place is hard on equipment.
We've seen it. Started off with Kyle Larson breaking an axle. And we've seen issues on pit road. We've seen issues on the track. We'll be back. F1 returns to NBCSN on August 23rd, this time in Belgium. This is the circuit's longest track, and it's certainly going to test each driver's endurance. Catch Formula One Belgian Grand Prix Sunday, August 23rd on NBCSN. 4 cautions. Let's look back on how we got to this point. 38 laps complete. Early on, 42 with issues.
Yeah, this is very disappointing for Kyle Larson. He breaks an axle, can't get out of the carousel here.
John West Townley, his car's on fire. Ended up entering his day, had to get out. Was not hurt though.
Chase Elliott, you can't get too wide through there in that manner.
Joey Logano takes the lead back to Keselowski. Keselowski got it in traffic. Joey Logano ran it back down and took it back.
It's on pit road. Jack falls. Jack, fuel man can't get the fuel can out. Have to serve a penalty.
And you don't want that thing to leave.
It did. Caution came out for equipment leaving the box. And we're at lap 38. Brad Keselowski, the race leader. Paul Menard running second. Regan Smith, Ty Dillon, Boris Said the top 5. Joey Logano just outside the top 5. Here was a little bit of his radio moments ago.
I was catching the leader, was I? Well, Joey Meyer was giving Brad splits to you. We'll get out there, we'll be fine.
That's a way to build your driver's confidence. You might not think you're in a great position right now, but the leader is giving splits back to you. And by the way, you're running 7th, not 2nd. So the leader thinks you're going to be the guy coming to get him. And I would agree. I think Joey Logano didn't consistently run faster than Brad Keselowski because he had traffic. But Jeff, every time we saw him run a relatively clean lap, his lap time popped up there as one of the best.
Fastest car on the racetrack for sure. And now he's back in the position where he's not hurt too bad. you know, he can easily make not easily, but you can get these spots back. So the penalties haven't killed him. Can't afford many of them, though. Late in the race, those penalties, you don't have enough time to make them up.
Let's see who's topping the Xfinity speed charts. It's Joey Logano. His fastest speed, 172 miles per hour. Average, or the speed reached today, 171 by Kenny Habul. Second quick. 2x2 once again. Brad Keselowski on the inside. Green flag back in the air.
Kenny Habul trying to make that move work again.
Ty Dillon trying to make it 3 wide as they go into turn 1. Around goes Regan Smith after the contact. We stay green. He fires it back up. Can he continue to roll? They continue to race.
Talked about it, Jeff, that they had been tame on the first few restarts of the race. Well, we're not even halfway yet, and we see the aggression start to get out. A lot of dive bomb moves, a lot of 3 wide going into turn 1.
All the Junior Motorsports cars have been involved with some type of issues. Take a look at this.
Yeah, Ty Dillon way in the grass, just trying to be way too aggressive. It's just nowhere for him to go. The 7 got turned around. You know, that just a little more patience required there. I know it's hard to pass, but ultimately it hurt Ty too. He lost some spots on only 1 spot, but Brendan Gaughan did a great job of getting around the 7 car. Lucky that wasn't bigger. This was way in the front of the pack. Lucky this wreck wasn't bigger than it was. Everybody did a great job of clearing the 7.
Brendan Gaughan had to go way down to the inside to get by. And we stay green as we are reaching the halfway point. Brad Keselowski, Paul Menard, Chris Buescher, Ty Dillon, Boris said the top 5.
It's so tempting on these restarts when you think about the speed that you're going down the front straightaway and then what you slow down to. The cars in front of you, there's always a hole to the right, there's always a hole to the left. It's so tempting to try to jump in there. If you get too aggressive, that's what happens, though. You got to know when to make that move and when not.
Speaking of moves needing to be made, when we talk strategy, we're coming up on that window of opportunity. Lap 50 to 53. The final pit stops, and again, at a road course, you'd rather come onto pit road under green flag conditions and then hope a caution comes out after you've already made your stop.
Yeah, that's going to be the strategy. The real question, though, is how far do you think you can go, and then how many cautions do you dare bank on? We've had a string of cautions right here. Does that mean this race is going to go green? Last week in the Sprint Cup race at Pocono, we've seen it time and time again. Right there's the cross flags from the flag person halfway this time by. If you bank on cautions and the caution doesn't come, you run out of gas, and it happened to all of our leaders last week at Pocono in the Sprint Cup race.
So you think someone might gamble and maybe come a little bit earlier, counting on some of those cautions?
No question.
Absolutely. I think lap 52, 53 is pretty safe. I wouldn't be surprised if I saw people start coming to pit road anywhere from 48 to 51, 48 to 50. I think that would be a reasonably aggressive call, maybe even before 48, but that would start to be very aggressive. But if you're someone out there like a Kenny Habul in the 20 car who's here to run well, you know, on his own, he can decide maybe that they want to race. While that car does run for points, you know, he's the sponsor and the driver, Jeff. Right. That has to give him a lot of leverage to decide if he wants to be aggressive versus Darrell Wallace Jr. behind Kenny Habul. You know, he's worried about points. He probably has to be a little more patient.
Saw the 1 car get real sideways off the chicane, and it allowed the 9 of Chase Elliott to get by him and Brian Scott to get next to him. Got really loose off.
Marty.
Rick just talked to Greg Irwin just about what they are going to do strategy-wise when they will pit, what we were just talking about. And he thinks that a lot of teams will wait until about 50 to 52. And the question for Steve is, if you have a fast car like Brad Keselowski, would you want to keep him out a little bit longer so your tires are a little bit fresher? You can gamble a little bit with that so that you have a little bit fresher tires at the end of the race, Steve.
Well, Marty, I like the idea of fresher tires, but I don't think they're enough to make up for losing 8 or 10 spots. So as odd as this may sound, the question isn't what lap you come on. The question is how many cars you let pit before you. Because if the caution comes out, you're going to start behind every one of those cars. So if I'm the crew chief for the 22 or the 12 for that matter, probably the two fastest cars here, or the 33 of Paul Menard, who's doing a great job right here chasing down Brad Keselowski, I'm counting cars from about lap 47 on. 1 car, 2 cars, 5 cars, 8 cars. When I see 8 to 9 cars have pitted, I'm coming to pit road because I can't stomach that if we have a caution, have to line up 10th with 30 to go.
As you mentioned, Paul Menard staying right on the back bumper of that 22 of Brad Keselowski.
Chris Buescher right behind him doing a good job. You know, won the road race last year in Mid-Ohio. He's a really good road racer.
Paul Menard has won 2 Xfinity races, the last one being Michigan last year.
Logano peaking
from a long ways back. That right there shows respect for a faster car, Jeff, because let's be honest, if Chris Buescher thought he had a better car than Joey Logano, he would have contested that move.
That's right.
But he looked up and he said, you know what, just go on by. Let me get back in my rhythm.
So Joey Logano has taken that 3rd spot away. Chris Buescher drops back to 4th. How about David Starr and the issue he has?
He's way out of the groove, never got it turned, hit the wall hard. That's the last right-hander coming onto the front straightaway. He just was out of the groove coming into the corner, never could get it to turn.
Race leader, Brad Keselowski, being chased down by Paul Menard. And the man on the move is Joey Logano. After serving a pit road penalty, he has been able to work his way back up into the top 3. He is chasing down Paul Menard. Dave.
Rick Menard, of course, a very good road racer and very, very happy with his race car today. Says the balance has been very good. And he believes that his best area of the track has been up through the S's right after they make this turn through turn number 1. As he puts the power down through here, expect him to be on the back bumper of Keselowski. He's known it since the start of the race, and that sets him up for a possible pass at the bus stop. We'll see if he can get it done in the next few laps. He pitted under lap 21 under green just before the caution, Marty.
Dave, as Rick mentioned, Joey Logano up to the 3rd position now, and yes, Joey Myers still giving split times to Brad Keselowski, back to his teammate, who's now made his way up to the 3rd position. When I talked to Joey this morning, he said, I just like to be here for the experience. He certainly got a lot of experience running up through the field. The only one concern for the 12 car right now is he said at the end of the last run, he felt a little bit of brake fade. So they're not too concerned about that, but they've certainly noted that. All of these leaders should pit around lap 52, lap 53, somewhere in that range.
That would be one of your concerns, Rick. You know, Jeff, the leader out here, even though he's running faster laps, he's doing it at his own pace, braking at his own marks. Joey Logano was forced to fight his way back up through traffic, and all of these passes are done under braking, so he's definitely abusing his brakes.
No question, he's driving very hard, but he's having fun, and that's why he's here. We see a lot of hard racing. We saw earlier in the race a few minutes ago, we talked about the 1 car of Elliott Sadler got really loose. Look how far around this car is. I mean, that's a great save. Chase Elliott able to take position, but that's trying to keep the momentum up, staying in the gas. Car came around on him. He did a good job of saving it.
Ty Dillon in the 3 in front of Boris Said and Chase Elliott. Top 3, the gap is closed. Brad Keselowski, Paul Menard, and the 12 of Joey Logano has joined the party up front. All right, I got it now. NASCAR America. And welcome back. Out in front, Brad Keselowski, Joey Logano, Paul Menard, Chris Buescher, and Ty Dillon, the top 5.
All right, we're getting ready to find out how fast Keselowski really is. Logano's caught him, worked his way through all of that traffic. Now the pressure's on. Can Keselowski turn it up and keep Logano behind him?
And every time these leaders pass pit road, the question is who's going to stop and when they're going to stop with 34 laps to go. This is just outside the fuel window we can expect, but I think some of these teams are going to gamble.
How far back would you be running if you want to do that gamble, if you want to take that chance?
Well, I think you need to be within about 28 to 30 seconds of the leader, which takes basically our top 20 cars all have the opportunity to come to pit road.
And as the crew chief, if you're crew chiefing for, say, Kenny Habul, who's running 9th, 10 seconds behind the race leader, do you gamble and do something like that?
I would be on pit road right now because I think that we have a decent car. I don't know if we have car enough to hold off the 2 Penske cars, but I think Kenny Habul could run 3rd or 4th pretty easily if you gave him track position. And with this long green flag run, something tells me we're not done seeing the cautions when it gets to the end of this race.
Saw Logano just ate up Keselowski in that long right hand of the chicane. He just rolled through the second part of that corner so much quicker, and that carried so much speed on the back straightaway. He's now right to his rear bumper.
Teammates continuing to fight for that top spot. Here comes Logano looking to the inside. At the stripe, Logano has the advantage as they go to turn 1. Joey Logano has taken the lead back at Watkins Glen.
If you don't think that's a confidence builder for Joey as a driver, for the team to start that far back and drive to the front. No pit strategy, nothing else. They just drove to the front. That shows the power they have. It has to be a confidence builder for Joey going into tomorrow's race.
Darrell Wallace Jr. on pit road, Mike.
And Steve, you were talking a little bit about gambling. Check this out. The 6 team has only 4 lug nuts glued on each wheel for this pit stop. In an apparent attempt to speed up the stop, that's what they're doing. A 4-tire change for Bubba Wallace. He's been pretty happy with the car. He's been looking for a fast stop here. They're over 10, 11 seconds, 12 seconds and beyond. A lot slower than they anticipated, I'm sure.
Yeah, Mike, I appreciate the idea of picking up the pit stop, but when you have to wait on fuel anyway, you have to kind of measure your risk versus reward. Here at Watkins Glen, with all the opportunity for mistakes and fuel mileage and everything else, this isn't a type of track that I would only run 4 lug nuts on. Perhaps if you go to a short track, you could try to get away with it, but we've already seen mechanical failures on other cars. This place kind of traps you, Jeff Burton. You think it's a smooth, easy racetrack, but you tear up a lot of equipment at these road courses.
You have to be aggressive. You have to jump the curbs. You have to downshift. You have to do a lot of things that are hard on the equipment. If you don't, you can't run quick enough. So it's always a fine line between building cars too light, between putting light pieces on it, putting 4 lug nuts on, all those kind of things. Although it makes the car go faster, you have to weigh the reliability.
The pit crew's already out of sequence a bit just because the cars are coming from a different direction. They're faced a different direction as they're exiting pit road. And now you ask them to hit just 4 lug nuts where they're used to hitting 5 on a regular basis, and in that rhythm might not have sped up the team.
But I do like their aggression on their pit call. First one's the pit road. If the caution comes out right now, they'd be the leader of the race when everybody had to pit. So I like their aggressive for their pit strategy. It's really their only choice at this point.
And doesn't it start now? Everyone will be looking to come to pit road because that first car has started it. And we see now race leader Joey Logano on pit road.
And I don't think Joey Logano cares that the 6 is on pit road. I think this is their window. I think this is their strategy the entire way. They're 31 to go. They probably have confidence they can run 30 or 31 laps. So I think they like where they're at. Dave, you're with the 60?
Chris Buescher was tight in the rights and loose in the lefts, but the adjustment last time did not help him. They'll make an air pressure adjustment this time to try to help the car a little bit more. Sunoco fuel and 4 Goodyear tires for championship leader Buescher. Marty?
They have been debating pit strategy for the race leader, Joey Logano, for quite a while. Todd Gordon said on the radio, I just want to make sure that we get enough fuel here that we can make it for a green-white checkered. He actually said, and you never hear a driver say this, it feels better in dirty air than it does out front. Clean stop for Joey Logano and his crew this time. Packed it with Sunoco fuel.
Well, last week I'm guessing they would have asked for a little more fuel. Ran out of gas leading at Pocono.
coming out of the pits, you have to push hard. You can't try to save fuel right now. If you want to save fuel, you have to do it a little bit later. You have to run hard because you got to gain that track position back. When the 22 pits, you've got to make sure that the time you've made on the racetrack is good enough to stay in front of him. So you make and save later, but you can't save right now.
And this is happening, as you mentioned, once the 22 pits, it's happening right now. 22 on pit road, 40 miles an hour on pit road. They have to slow down too. And the 33 of Menard's in front of you, Dave.
Rick, Paul Menard complained that he gave up rear grip late. He's getting a drink pass to him. Driver needing a little comfort as well. 4 Goodyear tires, full of Sunoco fuel. He also said he was tight in turn number 5. Air pressure adjustment for that. Marty.
Greg Owen reminded Brad Keselowski you can only drive through 3 boxes. Be very careful when you come to pit road. It'll be 4 tires, so it's a little free going into turn 1. Needs drive off turn 11. They feel very good about the bus stop, though. Waiting for the car to be dropped. A little bit slower than his teammate Joey Logano. Now let's see where he cycles out with Logano, Rick.
That's the big question. He came a lap later than his teammate did. Where will he end up in relation to the 12? As he tucks in behind that 28 of J.J. Yeley.
Keselowski came out a long ways behind Joe Logano in the 12. That one lap earlier to pit road definitely was a cleaner way to come. And now you see Chase Elliott, who's taken over the lead through this pit cycle, continuing to stay on the racetrack. And that's not a surprise to me.
The 22 of Brad Keselowski gets hit for too fast exiting. Dave.
And Todd Dillon is on pit road right now. They had to get to at least this lap. This was a very bare minimum for them, as they felt like on fuel mileage that they were certainly not the best, but making good power. We'll see if he can make it from here. Kelly?
Now you see Boris said in the 54 monster car finishing up his. He's going to get 4 new Goodyear tires. They packed it full of Sunoco fuel, Mike.
Chief Mike Hillman calling for a pit stop here on lap 54. It's 2 laps later than they originally had planned. The strategy play here to have enough gas for a green-white checker. Kelly?
This is a home race for Regan Smith, who grew up just 70 miles from here. He says he is loose in and off. They're giving him 4 new tires and made an air pressure adjustment for Regan Smith.
Cycling through. Chase Elliott still scored as the race leader. Joey Logano now scored as second. There's Chase Elliott. Still has to make his way to pit road, and he's going to do it now. That will relinquish the lead to Joey Logano.
See how slow pit road speed feels. It just seems like it lasts forever. Very slow pit road speed right here in Watkins Glen. Looking for his pit stall. Looking for the sign. He sees it.
Kelly.
And Ernie Cope telling him to be so careful because of all those penalties that have been handed out. This pit crew has been so good for the 9 car as of late. They made up a lot of positions for Chase last week in Iowa. They looked to be quick again, although it looked like they may have had a right front tire that had gone down. So probably good timing to get him in.
Right front's locked up, Kelly.
It's a lug nut stuck. It's a lug nut stuck in the rotor probably. It's rolling now.
Now it's rolling, so he can go again. But
Go back forward, it's rolling now.
Probably just a lug nut stuck between the rotor and the caliper and the wheel. Probably locked it up. He backed it up and it came back out.
Take another look as Chase was trying to leave pit road or leave his pit stall. That right front stayed locked up.
So basically what happens there is a lug nut gets behind the wheel and sets on the brake hat, and it gets caught underneath the caliper itself, and it actually applies the brakes.
Take a look at this. The jackman goes down for Brian Scott. It's like he tripped on the hose. Normally somebody behind the wall is pulling that as the tire changer comes around. Again, we mentioned things are backwards on pit road for these teams. They normally don't have the car coming from their left to their right.
And after all of that, with a fast race car and a clean pit stop and good pit strategy, the lead now is really large. He's really stretched it out. So at this point, Joey Logano in the 12 car can save a ton of fuel. Ride around. You're a long way away from Paul Menard. Shift early. You're 8 seconds ahead of Paul Menard. Shift early. Don't downshift. Just save fuel right here. You have nothing to gain by going fast.
Yeah, and if you run 80 or 85% on your tires, you're saving a little tire for the later cautions, assuming you're going to get some. You know, when you say shift early, what Jeff means by that is if your shift point is normally, say, 8,000 RPM, then at about 7,500 or 7,300, you go ahead and shift up into the next gear. Shift really early, keep the RPMs lower. It burns a lot less fuel.
So as you mentioned, Joey Logano in front of Daniel Suarez, who Daniel still needs to come to pit road. He came onto pit road lap 38, as did Ross Chastain and J.J. Yaley. Those 3 cars will have to come to pit road here pretty soon.
Let's go back and think about last week's Cup race at Pocono. We had all the leaders needing to save fuel, but they were all running together. They all ran themselves out of gas. The pace of each other made the other one go faster. So they all ran out of gas, except for Matt Kenseth. He found a way to save fuel. But they were all pacing themselves against their competition. In this situation, Joey Logano has no competition. He is over 8 seconds ahead of Paul Menard. Just ride, save fuel, assume the caution's not going to come out. That has to be the strategy at the moment.
And that last lap, Jeff Burton was a second off. So I would say they're listening to us. He's up there just cruising.
A little fuel being saved with wild rides, including J.J. Yaley. And problems on pit road, we have seen many. Welcome back to the Zippo 200 at the Glen. Today's aerial coverage provided by our partners at Smithfield Foods. Race leader Joey Logano, as we've documented. Second place Paul Menard, 5.6 seconds behind him. Joey Logano with 24 laps to go. He has been on pit road. He doesn't have to come back down to pit road. Should have enough fuel and possibly is conserving as he's running around this almost 2.5 mile racetrack. The 9 of Chase Elliott definitely in contention for a championship once again. Currently 15th. He had this to say on the radio.
Yeah, something's not right. It's like the right front brake is grabbing. Tip forward's going to have to limp it on home.
Not not good to hear. Limping on home.
No, but whatever is wrong with the 9 car of Chase Elliott definitely doesn't seem to be hurting his speed. He's consistently running one of the top 2 or 3 lap times. We know Joey Logano isn't out there pushing as hard as he can, but Chase Elliott, even there, once again, a 1:12.91 is the fastest lap time on the board. He's been like that the last 3 or 4 laps. So while there's something that Chase Elliott doesn't like, it seems like he's able to overcome it to run some good laps.
Points as they run. Chris Buescher with a 27-point advantage over Ty Dillon, who would take over second. Chase Elliott has dropped down to third as they run on the track. Regan Smith and Elliott Sadler are the top 5 in the point standings. We want to go through the field in the Xfinity Series from Watkins Glen. We'll start with Marty Snyder.
Speaking of going through the field, Joey Logano put on a clinic with that earlier today, going from 22nd to the lead. Terrific stop by the 12 bunch last time down pit road, and now he's out front, kind of running the pace he wants to run. If he's able to hold on for the win, it'll be win number 25 in his career. It'll move him past Tommy Houston for 8th on the all-time list, and just 2 wins behind some guy named Jeff Burton. Dave?
Marty, Paul Menard running second is in a good position. He's actually good to the advertised distance per his crew chief Danny Stockman, plus 1 lap. That's not a full green-white checkered. And Stockman told me we expect to have one of the fastest cars today. We're in the same zip code as the 12 of Joey Logano and his teammate Brad Keselowski. As for Chris Buescher, in talking with his crew chief Scott Graves this morning, I asked him if they saw the road courses as an opportunity to be aggressive or an opportunity that they have to protect their championship lead. He said aggressive, but guess what? Who's in front of him today? Nobody running for the championship. So good on fuel to the end, according to Graves just now. He's being as aggressive as he needs to be to stay ahead in the championship. Kelly?
Ross Chastain in that 4 car making his first start in an Xfinity car, and now we have a caution out.
Caution has come out. David Starr has lost a tire in the 44, the right front gone. Earlier we saw how the damage was done to the left side of the car when he came out of turn 7 and hit the wall. There's the carcass of the tire. So this is our 5th caution. We've had 5 cautions, 12 laps under caution. And that's quite a bit when you think about a 2.5-mile track. The drivers that needed to come to pit road: Ross Chastain, JJ Yeley, another driver down in 12th, Jeremy Clements. They all came to pit road on lap 38. So they were still on the outside of were needed to get to pit road, but they will lose quite a bit of track position now. You see the right front coming off of David Starr's car.
Yeah, who this is a really big break for is the 22 of Brad Keselowski. He was a little over 22 seconds behind his teammate of Joey Logano because of his speeding on pit road penalty. This is going to close him right back up. Maybe not on the rear bumper of Joey Logano, but at least in the same straightaway. He'll be happy to see him.
Absolutely. He will be in row 4 on the restart when we come back to the Glen. tomorrow on NBCSN. Sprint Cup Series racing from Watkins Glen. Coverage begins at 1:30 p.m. with Countdown to Green. NASCAR is on NBCSN. Gorgeous look at Lake Seneca, part of the Finger Lakes here in New York. And then the beautiful Watkins Glen International. One of the guys who's doing double duty, driver of the 42, Kyle Larson, had issues early. Broke the axle on his 42 Xfinity car. Had to come pit road and behind the wall as they fixed that and back out. So still learning. He's able to come back out, learn a little bit, do the double duty, see if he can take all of this knowledge to tomorrow's race and maybe get his first win if it could come at the Glen.
Yeah, I like the fact that he's racing in this race. All these drivers that are running today are getting experience that they can use tomorrow. I like that. I like young drivers running the Xfinity racing, especially on the road courses.
Brad Keselowski in the 22 saying this to his team just moments ago about speeding.
Sorry about the pit road speed penalty. I didn't think I was even close. Copy that, man. I got mile per hour, 3.4 mile an hour over. Man, I don't know. Maybe I saw something wrong on the tach, but I saw myself at pit road speed at the line, at the yellow line. I didn't think it was even close.
One of the other things that comes into play with Brad Keselowski and his pit area, it was exiting. He's the third stall from the end. So, I mean, he was on the gas going hard, trying to get off of pit road, obviously just a little bit too hard.
Yeah, it's, you know, with these gear ratios you run at Watkins Glen, they accelerate very good because you're used to shifting. You have more ratio through some of the corners. So when you have to wait until you cross that yellow line, if you go just a little bit early, it's pretty easy to get too high of an average.
Brad Keselowski currently 6th. His teammate, though, Joey Logano, in front, and they have been dominant on road courses. 9 poles leading all teams, 7 in the last 11 races. They lead all teams with 6 wins, 3 of the last 6, and they have led 47% of the laps since 2011. Very impressive. Marty.
Kevin Buskirk is the man who set up the car this weekend for Joey Logano, but Todd Gordon calling the shots today. And how impressed were you with your driver when he drove from 22nd to the lead all on his own?
Pretty impressed with this whole step on Mustang crew. They put a good race car together. It's fun for me to sit up here and just talk to him about it, but he drove back up through there, got a lot of speed. Kevin and all the guys, and especially even the 22 team putting his car together, they did a great job, and this is I think we got something for him.
How much of an eye will you be keeping on your teammate now?
Definitely am. You know, we went through that, went to the back and drove through, and it seems like he's going through it now. You know, 33's been good, and we'll keep an eye on all the guys behind us, but definitely got an eye on the 22.
Kelly?
Chris Gale sitting atop the box of the 54 car, and earlier this weekend you told me you didn't know what to expect with Boris Said here at Watkins Glen. Running top 5, what do you have for him on this last restart?
Well, I hope we got a little more. We've had a good solid run all day so far, and Boris has said, you know, we talked about going easy until like the last quarter of the race, so we're kind of in that situation where I don't know if we have anything for the 22 or the 12, but maybe we have something to race the 60 and keep in the top 5 all day, and we'd be happy.
All right, another solid day for the 54. Mike?
Mike Hillman Jr., the crew chief for Brian Scott. Seemed like you came down pit road a couple laps beyond your original pit window. What's the strategy there?
Just in case there's a couple of green-white checkers, it'll put us in a better window for the end. You know, everybody on the shore, Lodge Camaro's done a great job with a pit road penalty and a mishap on pit road to still be running 7th. We'll see how it all shakes out here at the end and go take a shot at them.
Hey, Rick, before the green flag flew this afternoon, Brian Scott radioed to the team. He said, we're not racing for points today. We're racing for wins, and it seems like this strategy is based only upon that.
Well, that means that they're probably going to be aggressive on the restart. And we have already seen aggressive restarts. Will we see another one? This one was lap 13. Joey out in front and a little bit too aggressive. A little bit later on, the 3 of Ty Dillon tried to get in a little bit too aggressively. Got into the rear of the 7 of Regan Smith, and around goes Regan. Will we see it again?
Yes.
Laps winding down, people getting more aggressive.
Oh, absolutely. With 19 to go, I think there's nowhere near enough mad drivers in the field. We're going to have a list. We're going to have a list of unhappy people here in 19 more laps because the restarts are very, very important. And like Jeff mentioned, you are decelling to such a slow speed in the middle of turn 1 that you think you have the opportunity to get down into that opening, and it's not really an opening because you get down in there and there's a curb on both sides.
That's right. Unless something breaks in the 12 car, does anybody really have a chance to beat him? They've got to make something to happen right here on a restart. That's really their only chance.
And maybe it's Paul Menard that gets aggressive, starting on the outside of Joey Logano. Row 2, Chris Buescher and Boris Said. Will they get aggressive on the start? Green flag back in the air. Great restart for the 12 of Joey Logano. Paul Menard hanging on the outside. Can he hang on to second? Now the move from Brendan Gaughan, the 62, fighting for that second spot up through the S's. Here comes Buescher. Buescher on the inside of Paul Menard. Here comes the 22 of Keselowski. 3 wide as they go into the bus stop. Brad Keselowski aggressive. Chris Buescher in front of Paul Menard. Boris Said hanging on to the 5th spot. He sat back and watched all of that madness take place. And way out in front is Joey Logano. Logano, Keselowski, Chris Buescher, Paul Menard, and Boris Said the top 5.
Obviously, Keselowski, the big winner on that restart. He's now in second place, so now he has a shot. The 2 best cars are first and second. So the question now for me, if we don't get a lot of cautions, how much fuel did Keselowski burn getting himself back to the front? Joey was able to save. Brad was not because he had to work himself up after the penalty.
Paul Menard on the inside. Chris Buescher on the outside. Menard trying to get back in front of Buescher. He makes the pass and Buescher drops back a spot.
Yeah, Paul Menard in the 33 is really the car that looks like he can run with the 2 Penske cars today. There's been multiple times he's been on their bumper. The real question is, with 17 to go, have the 2 Penske cars really showed their hands? You know, history would say there's not a lot of cautions here in the last 15 or 20 laps. We haven't had any in the last 2 races. So what's going to happen today? Are these guys just going to go hard out from here? I don't think they have much of a choice because with Paul Menard now getting into third, you see a big move there, loose out of the bus stop into the carousel. He's going to force the 2 Penske cars to show their hand.
Way out onto that asphalt, past the rumble strips, and around goes Regan Smith. Coming out of turn 5, he goes around. Smoke on the racetrack. No caution yet, and the caution does come out now.
Anytime I want a yellow, I'm just going to say that we don't normally have one. And I think one will come out.
And we'll have a restart.
That's unfortunate for Regan Smith. He had a great run going earlier in the race when we got turned around at turn 1 by Ty Dillon. I know Ty didn't mean it, but he ended up getting the 7 backwards. He had recovered all the way back up to 12th position, and here he is.
Lap rear will be pushed in. Splitter will be down. Lap rear will be pushed in.
Some heavy damage.
The flap up, he got turned around. That's a normal occurrence for these cars. When they go backwards, those will open up to make sure they stay on the ground, but a lot of damage to the back end of the car, the front end of the car. And onto pit road comes the 7 of Regan Smith. Take another look coming out of turn 5.
See Brendan Gaughan way up out of the groove. The 7 on the bottom. Brendan comes down the 7. Brendan just came down on him, got into the side of the 7. I don't think Brendan knew that he was there. The 7 had a run on him, and Brendan just, I don't think he knew he was there, turned right on him. And Regan had to feel like he had that spot. That spot was his. Brendan was way out of the groove. You know, he felt really comfortable trying to get in that spot, and then Brendan started to come down. You see him try to check up and not get in the side of him, but he just couldn't get slowed up enough. And that's a place where the spotters can't see. There are really no spotters over there. You can see getting into the inner loop, but you can't see the exit of that corner very well. They're coming to you where the spotters are, so you cannot really clear someone there. So Brendan probably didn't have much help from the spotter in that situation.
So a lot of work being done to Regan Smith's number 7. Reason they're working so diligently, he's 4th in the points. Only 39 back from point leader Chris Buescher. Kelly.
What a day it's been for Regan Smith. Remember, early on in the race, he got into it with the 9 of Chase Elliott. Then it was with Ty Dillon. And even at that point, he was concerned that he might have some fender rub. See the crew going to work. They've been trying to straighten out the bodywork as best they can and pull it away from the tires to prevent any of that rub. They've got the Bear Bond out now, just trying to patch it up as much as they can. As I said before, this is a home race for Regan Smith. He said he saw his first ever Cup race right here at Watkins Glen, so you can be sure there's a lot of family and friends here on site looking to cheer him on. But it has been one heck of a day for the 7 of Regan Smith.
Yeah, Kelly, and as we mentioned on the replay, it was the 62 of Brendan Gaughan that was outside Regan Smith. Here's what he had to say on the radio.
He tried to spin me, so I came back down on him. His own fault.
So maybe there was a contact getting into the corner and got the 62 out of the groove, and then the 62 saw him on the bottom and turned down on him. Said it was his own fault. There's always two versions.
There is always two versions.
Sometimes three.
Yeah. Dave.
And they were deciding whether or not to pit Brendan Gaughan. We see a couple of cars coming to pit road, but they did not after the spotters were sure that there wasn't a tire rub. Didn't see any smoke off the 62 and not enough damage to bring him to pit road.
Brendan Gaughan in the top 10 now, running 10th. Behind Joey Logano and Brad Keselowski, a little bit of the 7 of Regan Smith stuck. And so they will clear that out. We will take a quick break and be back for the restart. NASCAR America, the best NASCAR news and information first. Days at 5 p.m. Eastern on NBCSN. NASCAR is on NBCSN and NBC 7 days a week. Brad Keselowski and Joey Logano. Keselowski in the 2nd spot now behind his teammate. Here's what they had to say on the radio.
I know both of us want to win, but we really need to not wreck each other. Just let Joey know I ain't going to run into the back of him as long as he don't cut me off. We'll be cool.
I love it. It's always the guy in second.
I was going to say, that sounds like a guy in 2nd place.
Always the guy in second. I'm picking on Brad. I know what Brad's saying. He's absolutely right. He's saying, listen, Roger Penske provided these 2 very fast race cars for us to come out on Saturday and get some experience before the Sprint Cup race on Sunday. But he obviously doesn't want to wreck his teammate, and it's going to be pretty hard to get to the rear bumper of his teammate because Joey Logano started on the pole, had a penalty, went back to 22nd, and basically marched his way back up through the field to get back to 1st place.
Marty.
Well, that message was delivered to Joey Logano. We'll talk to Greg Irwin here. And I know Brad said we don't want to wreck each other, but it's been impressive what these Team Penske cars have done today, Greg.
It's tribute to these guys and girls here at the Penske program. These cars can't get away from each other, it seems, for the last 3 years. Really dating back to 13, the 12, and the 22. They work very well together. they're set up, really, really similarly, and both of these guys like to come out here and put a show on, and really we know why they do it, and that's so they can be better tomorrow and help the Shell car and the Miller Lite car, do what they do. So we come out here every year. We all look forward to coming out here, and stuff's pretty good. Maybe we'll put on another show for them and get this Hertz Mustang going.
I know you wanted to play nice, but how do you expect this restart to go down?
I think they'll treat each other with respect. They run each other clean all the time. Every race we've ever been side by side or back to back, they do a good job.
Team Penske cars have come through the field, each one of them at least once. Dave?
Marty Danny Stockman told me he'd have an opportunity to run with the Penske cars earlier today. You brought him to pit road on lap 52. Does he have enough fuel? And what's he dealing with on the restarts? He got a couple of passes last time.
Yeah, definitely good on fuel. He just wanted to know if we had another first gear option, and with the rules that we're given, there's not very many options to choose from. So just kind of to change it up a little bit. We got a good Menard Chevrolet here. Paul's doing an excellent job, and we've had really good pit stops today. I don't know if we can beat that 12. I think we can give the 22 a run for their money, but strong day for sure. Still got to work on these road course cars a little bit to try to beat these Penske cars, but we're getting closer.
They're looking pretty good today, Rick.
Absolutely, Dave. 1 and 2 for Team Penske, third Paul Menard. But then it's the Xfinity regulars. Chris Buescher, the points leader, will restart fourth. The point standings with 14 laps to go. 25 points. Chase Elliott and Ty Dillon behind Chris Buescher. Ryan Scott involved.
Yeah, every one of these crazy restarts, Chris Buescher, he just excuse me, just everybody stay away from me. I'm happy. Nice. I'm in fourth. I'm doing a great job. You Cup guys, just go have a good day. Let me be. I'm doing what I need to, because when you look back to last year, this is an area where Chase Elliott gained a tremendous amount of points on his competition. He gained almost 30 points over the 3 road course races. So here's Chris Buescher running in front of Chase Elliott with 14 to go.
And Buescher and Ty Dillon are the only ones without issues among the top 10 in points. See if they can keep clean. And welcome back to Watkins Glen for the NASCAR Xfinity Series race from the Glen. Dave Burns.
Crew Chief Scott Graves trying to win again here at the Glen in the 60 car. Your driver is ahead of all of his championship rivals. Perhaps more importantly, can he stay there to the end?
Yeah, I say our Ford Mustang's been great all weekend. Chris has done a really good job with it. Just being really patient out here, traffic, and we're trying to bring this home. Obviously, we need a good finish today. Got to get things going right for us here, and I know we can do it. He's got a good car.
We'll see what Chris does on this restart. Kelly.
Ernie Cope calling the shots for Chase Elliott. It hasn't been the smoothest of days for this team, but what does it say about the effort to be back running inside the top 10?
Yeah, they were fighting hard, and between that spin, which was no big deal, it happened early, made up for it, and we come and pitted. The right front tire locked up. It was sliding all the way down pit road, and I thought it was just a flat, and he goes and takes off, and it's still locked up. Had him stop back up, and it released, and it's still going. So I'm just hoping. I just want to get this race over with, and the car's running as fast as it has all day, and I don't know what the problem is.
They're fighting through it though, Rick, to salvage a good points day.
They will have 12 to go on the restart. Chase Elliott running 9th.
So that's interesting. He was thinking that it was sliding all the way down to pit road. We thought it was a lug nut that was caught in there, but he said coming to the pit box it was already sliding. So that's a problem they're certainly concerned about, because if it does that during the race, when it goes green, they'll have a major issue.
And listen, crew chiefs are greedy folks. We want to get all we can possibly get, but you heard it in Ernie Cope's voice. He just wants these 13 laps to be over, because whatever made it lock up, he's not sure, and he's not sure if they still have an issue. He'll be relieved when this thing's over, and they'll be able to roll the car and the truck in one piece. And when I say greedy, that's a compliment from another crew chief, just for the record.
Okay.
You know, that's a racer to racer, Jeff. You know, if I said you were a greedy race car driver, you would love that. Like, that gets you all you can on the racetrack.
I was thinking you might have to.
That would depend on if I made a move that didn't work or if I made a move that did work.
That's a good point.
Right?
I thought you might have to call Ernie Cope after the race and just apologize, but no?
No.
Compliment.
He'll like that.
Okay. There'll be 12 to go. Joey Logano, Brad Keselowski. What have they done today? Well, they've passed a combined 34 cars to get back to 1 and 2. It's Team Penske on the front row again, just as we started the race 69 laps ago. 12 to go. They come back up to speed. Green flag back in the air.
Joey slowed them all down. He saw them stack up behind him. Let's see what the result of that is, getting into 1.
3 of Ty Dillon does it again. He gets into the back, this time of Paul Menard in the 33. 2 times in a row we've seen it. Last time was the 7 of Regan Smith. This time it's the 33 of Paul Menard.
Yeah, I mean, I know they get stacked up going down in there, but there's not a lane there. I know Ty Dillon wants to pass people, and I appreciate the aggression, but there has to be a time and a place. And right there was just not a lane to go. They get down to the bottom of the corner, and he hits his teammate, Paul Menard.
Yeah, to make matters worse, it was his teammate. I mean, you have to show your teammate a little bit of respect, and that was just driving in the corner way too aggressive.
Take another look at this restart.
There's just nowhere for him to go right there. I understand he wants the spot, but it's just not a spot to go. So you take those spots, and that's okay. You know, he came out of it in 4th, but you got to understand there's another restart coming. There's another corner coming. So if you get run over, you can't complain. You just can't take that spot that aggressively.
Everybody having to fan out. Chris Buescher on the outside. Steve, you mentioned he just wants to get done with this race, not lose any positions.
Remember, Ty's in this championship battle too. You know, you have to be careful when you're this aggressive. I mean, certainly it came out good. He came out of the good side of that, but when you are this aggressive, it's easy for other people to get aggressive with you too in the future. So you're in this championship battle. Don't take yourself out of it.
And NASCAR's letting us know that Tommy Dreese in the 26 had a restart violation, that he will have to do a pass-through penalty. That was, again, the 3 of Ty Dillon on that restart, getting into the 33 of Paul Menard. Around with the 33, but we stay green. Joey Logano, Brad Keselowski, they're separated by a little over a half a second.
And listen, it's getting turned up. Dust is flying through the bus stop now. We're shortening it up as quick as we can. We're jumping curves. We're making moves. Not just back here. You see right here, Chase Elliott getting a good run on Kenny Habul. Looks to the left side of him, off from the carousel. This is heading down into turn 6. Going to try to outbreak the 20.
Good run off the corner. That allowed him to position himself where he needed to be. He's had so much momentum leaving the corner.
Kenny Habul is going to try to stay on his inside as they come through 7. He has to hit the brakes hard. Chase Elliott gets the spot.
And Kenny locked up his right front, getting in the corner. That lost all his momentum. Now he's under assault from Elliott Sadler, trying to block Elliott.
10 to go. Elliott Sadler looking to the outside of Kenny Habul.
And why this is racing on back here, the top 2, Logano and Keselowski, there's under a second between the 2 of them. Keselowski just ran a lap a little quicker than Logano.
Closing the gap. Chris Buescher remains in 3rd. Brian Scott 4th. Boris Said 5th. Darrell Wallace Jr. in the 6 car on pit road, topping off.
Looks like there's some grass and debris on the grill. They had to come in and clean that off, make sure everything was clear.
Also looks like they had a little bit of damage on the left side. We stay green. Under 10 laps to go. Joey Logano trying to stay in front of teammate Brad Keselowski. Chris Buescher hanging on to third. Ryan Scott, Boris Said. They're the top 5. Then it's Ty Dillon, Chase Elliott, Kenny Habul, Elliott Sadler, and Brendan Gaughan, the top 10. 9 laps to go, and Darrell Walsh Jr., after being on pit road, too fast exiting pit road, so he'll have to come back.
And I think Elliott Sadler, his patience is running out with Kenny Habul. He's tried to get next to him a couple times. Kenny Habul, part-time driver, only runs the road course races, being very aggressive, and that's his ability to do. He has the right to do that. But Elliott Sadler, you could just see, Jeff, with some of these moves, his patience is running out quickly.
With 9 laps to go, do you want to give up a spot? He's in the top 10. Kenny Habul with a top 10 finish in the Xfinity Series would be huge.
Yeah, but
there's a spot, but Elliott wants the spot, so it's 2 people battling for it.
Kelly. Oh, I'm sorry,
and guys, remember his frustration probably even a little bit more, Rick, because he pitted on lap 62 and took on 4 fresh tires. Elliott Sadler has now driven from 19th to 9th. So, yeah, he's getting really frustrated with that 20 car and the fresh tires.
And normally it's because there's a gap. When you see a gap in front of a car, that means that he's holding up the people behind him. And we're seeing that gap in front of the 20. And Elliott Sadler all over the back bumper of the 20 of Habul.
Yeah, and I understand that Kenny's fighting him off, but what's going to happen is instead of ending up 10th, he's going to end up 15th or 20th because Elliott's going to get frustrated enough. He's going to be forced to make a dive bomb move, and that is not going to be good for the 20 of Habul.
Can he hang on? 8 laps of racing to go. That is for the 7th position. Here comes Elliott Sadler once again looking as they go through the S's.
And he's driving hard. You can see he's overdriving like the edges of the corners. Gets him offline a little bit. He's able to hold Elliott off, though. Elliott's got a little bit of momentum off this long S. Is not enough, I don't think, to make a move. He's not close enough. If he tried to make a move here into the inner loop, it would just be a wreck.
Chase Elliott chasing down the 3 of Ty Dillon. Through turn 5. Into the chip.
Yep.
Oh, and around goes the 15. Ryan Ellis.
Go, go, go.
Ryan Ellis in the 15. You heard him. Go, go,
At
go.
the bus stop. Ryan's back going again.
The caution doesn't come out until now. The 20 of Kenny Habul hit hard. Caution is out. Coming out of turn 7. Kenny Habul was running 8th and now on fire.
Easy, you're on fire now.
See the safety crew getting over to him.
Having trouble getting the winning net down. Winning net got hung up. Got to unhook the helmet hose before you get out.
Kenny Habul was running 8th, and Elliott Sadler behind him was trying to hold off the hard-charging Elliott Sadler. You guys mentioned it was probably just a matter of time. Let's take a look at what just happened.
You actually see that Elliott Sadler had already got by the 20, and there was Brendan Gaughan. They were both vying for the position going through the last corner. It looked like Brendan Gaughan tried to get to the inside of the 20, got down on the grass, came up into the 20, or they ran into each other. After the 20 spun, the 16 got into him.
Yeah, Ryan Reed, pretty hard contact with the front of the 20.
You see the 62 on the bottom trying to make a move there. I have to say that's a very tough place to make a move. Things happen really quick. You come off the next to last corner, you're almost immediately turning back to the right. It's a really aggressive move to try to make a pass there.
It's the final right-hander.
It's a passing zone because he made the pass, but it's just a tough place to make the pass.
A lot of smoke, and Ryan Reed really didn't know where that 20 was going to end up.
Yeah, tough break for Ryan Reed.
It's a hard shot for sure. Right here, you're on board.
Yes.
Oh, man, that's a hard shot for sure. Luckily, it got to hit him in front of the driver's door a little bit. Here's back a little bit farther. Looks like Habul gets a little loose off that, and Brendan Gaughan gets a run on him. He's definitely beside him there, but he's really deep into the corner, and I don't know, it looks like the 62 drove in really deep, but the 20 definitely didn't leave him a lane. The 20 came down all the way to the bottom lane, like maybe he didn't know the 62 had made that run to his right.
Well, and that's what I talked about before, is that things happen so quickly there that Kenny came up, lost the racetrack, but just didn't see him there. Dave Burns.
Kenny has seen the replay. Did you think you had the corner there?
I didn't hear nothing from my spotters, and just looking at how deep he went in there was just no way he would have turned himself without me. But anyway, that's all right. Thanks to Joe Gibbs, and thank you to Sonny. You won. It was a good run. We're in the top 10 all day, and we're looking for a top 5 at the end there. We had some speed at the end, and that's the way it goes, off to Mid-Ohio.
We know how excited you were when Denny won at New Hampshire with your company on the car. Would this have been a win for you if you could have held that position?
It would have been a great day. You know, we didn't have much qualifying pace, which was unusual. But the race pace, I mean, we did the same times that we did in qualifying the whole race without too much drama. So the car was great and would have been great. But you know what? I'm still happy with a good run.
And it was a hard hit. You okay?
Hard hit? Yeah, it's all right. A couple of scotches, I'll be fine.
Spoken like a true gentleman, and a good run today ended early for Kenny Habul.
Yeah, unfortunate. Obviously, it's great to see him smile at the end. He doesn't have the opportunity to run a full schedule. He has the opportunity to run a few road courses for Joe Gibbs Racing. So trying to make the best of that situation. As he mentioned, running in the top 10. It was an impressive run for Kenny Habul today. And then the one involved with him, the 62 of Brendan Gaughan, as you see the cars stopping on the track as we have 6 to go. It'll be a red flag situation. This is what Brendan Gaughan had to say.
In the left front now. The 20 just came down on me. I was all the way to his right front wheel, and he just turned down.
Yeah, that's clearly what happened. You know, you know, Kenny had a problem, lost his momentum. When he lost his momentum, Brendan Gaughan got beside him. To be honest with you, that happens really quick. It is a tough passing zone, but as slow as Kenny was, he needed to expect that someone was behind. Look how slow he gets right here. He doesn't accelerate off the corner. Brendan makes the move, drives in deep, but Kenny needed to expect him. You can't rely on your spotter. There's only one driver in the race car. I know I've said this several times already, but you are the only driver. Your spotter doesn't call you clear. He doesn't drive the car. It's up to you. Kenny didn't see him there. He went to turn down. It was an aggressive move by Brendan, but it's late in the race. He left the hole there, and he took it.
And I think that's what you heard. You heard Kenny basically was a little shocked at the aggression of the 62 driving in the corner, but it is late in the race, and he had no idea he was there. I think if he would have known he was there, that he would have given him a lane, and the 62 might have still made some contact, but they both would have made the corner. But, man, listen, there's 6 to go. I don't think that's going to be the end.
It'll be 5 to go. That's obviously we're under a red flag condition. Just before the Kenny Habul situation took place, the 15, Ryan Ellis, got turned around, and this was in the bus stop.
Again, trying to carry a lot of speed, getting into the bus stop. Just now, you got me saying bus stop. Getting into the inner loop, and
I knew I'd win that battle. It's the bus stop.
Just couldn't hold the back of the car.
We saw some of the ductwork flying off of the 15 as well. So they're cleaning up the track. We want to have as clean a track as we can for the remaining 5 laps from the Glen Xfinity Series. Finishing up. Welcome back. NASCAR Xfinity Series from the Glen. We're under a red flag condition as they continue to clean up the track. We will have just 5 laps to go to determine, can Joey Logano hang on and win at the Glen? Let's see if we can chat with him.
Hey, Joey, it's Jeff Burton in the NBCSN booth. You with us?
Yes, sir. I got you.
All right, bud. You've had a fast car all day. You've done a great job driving it. A few laps left. What do you have to do to finish this thing off?
Don't screw up. I got a really fast snap-out forward here. Kevin Buskirk, everyone in practice did a great job giving me a good car, and Todd Gord up on the box calling the race. So everything's going good so far. Team Penske's prepared 2 pretty similar race cars, and I'm racing my teammate up here, and he's pretty good as well. So we're going to race each other hard here and try to knock off 2 good laps.
So I tried to convince Steve up here that drivers actually enjoy going to the back of the field when they have a car that's that fast. Will you back me up on that?
I can't back you up on that one. It is nice to be able to pass back up through the field and actually drive back up to the lead. That was pretty fun, but I'd rather not do that if I don't have to.
Well, I appreciate your help.
I'm here for you.
All right, good luck. Have a good rest of the race.
Thanks, guys.
Joey Logano has not led the most laps. He's only led 33. His teammate, Brad Keselowski, has led 40. Kelly?
And Ryan Reed's just been let out of the medical center. It was a hard hit, you getting into the 20 car. It looked like either you didn't know where to go or you ran out of room.
Well, it's a little bit of both. When he spun, kind of just, I don't know if he spinning the gas, trying to stay out the outside wall, and it filled the whole track up with smoke, so I couldn't see anything. And you just kind of guessed at where to go. I guessed high just because he had kind of spun down to the bottom, and he must have throttled back up the racetrack trying to keep it going, and just kind of drove us straight into the fence. So, yeah, I guessed wrong there, and just like I said, kind of ran out of room. But, you got to thank Lilly Diabetes and American Diabetes Association, Xfinity, everyone that helps us get here and do this. I felt like it was a long weekend. I had a lot to learn, and we started to put it together there at the end. I actually ran my fastest lap right there before we wrecked. So, as a driver, this place, I think it either comes natural to you or you got to really work hard at it. So, I was really glad that I was able to start running some more competitive lap times and start to get the hang of this place. And I was really looking forward to the end of the race there and see if we get a nice, decent finish. So I'm not sure where we were running when we got caught up there, but I thought it was a lot better than we had been all weekend.
All right, Ryan Reed able to take away some positives here, Rick.
Everybody's trying to take a little positive away from what just took place. Kenny Boole involved, Ryan Reed as well. Let's ask Brendan.
What you gonna ask him?
Let's
Jeff
ask
Burton?
Brendan Gaughan. How aggressive would you like to be on this restart?
Brendan, I keep seeing cautions. You're still involved. What's going on out there?
Say, hey, Ty Dillon's in front of you. Could you run into him in turn 1?
So.
Do you want to check?
Hey, Brendan, it's Burton. How you doing?
What's going on, Mr. Burton?
Just checking to see if it's okay when we come back to talk to you.
Absolutely.
All right, we'll be back.
We'll be back.
Where we cycle around here, we need to be. I don't know who's out, who's wrecked or what. We'll just pit, put 4 tires on, and take no prisoners.
What?
Who was that?
Paul Menard. That's
Stockman.
Oh, yeah.
Stockman, Danny Stockman for Paul Menard.
Yeah, why not?
That was for everybody, Marv. That was for all of us.
Oh, okay.
The greater good.
Well, love it. He got a win at Road America. Is he going to be? I mean, yeah. How aggressive is he going to be? Still under a red flag condition at Watkins Glen. We will have 5 to go when they lift the red flag. Brendan Gaughan has been involved in a few of the incidents. Let's chat with him.
Hey, Brendan, it's Jeff Burton in the NBCSN booth. You with us?
Absolutely, sir.
All right, bud, you're going to restart 9th, and these restarts have gotten crazy the last several. What's your strategy?
We've had some decent restarts throughout the day and then been bottled up. We missed the 7 car earlier in an amazing move that I can't believe I missed him. I didn't T-bone him.
So it's been rough on restarts, but if we get South Point Chevy through the initial 2 turns, we've been great for short runs, so we got a chance to move some spots up.
So you won a road race last year. You've obviously improved as a road course racer. What's your what do you think? How far up do you think you can get in this race?
Don't know. I know I'm faster than a couple in front of me, but we got to be careful. You don't want to do damage and really hurt yourself. We've had some run-ins here. The 7 car, and you know, bummed about that. That was racing, him and I racing hard. The 20 just didn't know we were there, I guess. But it's want to be careful. Got to look at the big picture, but we're going to try to get to a nice, solid top 10. Maybe even get a backdoor top 5 if somebody starts beating and banging up in front of us.
So we saw you and the 20 get together. What exactly happened there?
Not quite sure. The 1 car got to his inside, made a nice clean pass in 10. And I knew that Kenny, he's pretty aggressive with an aggressive coach, Max Pappas, so he aggressively came across the track to get his line back, and I got all the way to his window. I mean, I could read his water temp, and he just came all the way down to the inside and pushed me in the grass, and I went to the grass, but he just kept coming.
So what was the water temp?
Looked to me like it said 225, but, you know, I'm a little old. My eyes aren't as good as they used to be.
All right, good luck. Have fun.
Oh, Brendan.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate you watching.
And you hear the engines firing back up.
I've heard a lot of references in my day. I was to his tire, I was to his door, I was to his window net. Never have I heard I could see his water temp.
I was to his window and
you know,
see his water temp.
As he was talking and we were showing the replay, he was right. I mean, everything he was saying was spot on. Normally when the drivers are talking about what happened, they're generally wrong. But Brendan had that one nailed.
Our 7th caution. And the most cautions at this track, 8. It's happened twice. That's one of those records you don't want to break. And we're back to a yellow flag condition. They're rolling once again. Dave.
And Rick, recall that this crazy segment of racing got started with Paul Menard getting spun on the restart. So you might wonder, after losing all that track position, what they might do with this caution.
We want to recycle around here. We need to be, I don't know who's out, who's wrecked or what. We'll just pit, put 4 tires on and take no prisoners.
So that's the current plan. Come to pit road, get those fresh tires, see what happens.
There are 23 on the lead lap. We'll see if that strategy works out for Danny Stockman and Paul Menard. Take a look at our race recap. With 5 to go, Chase Elliott trying to be aggressive in the bus stop. It didn't work out.
Yeah, then Joey Logano has a great car on the racetrack, but had a little mishap in the pits, leaves his pit stall. Unfortunately, takes the gas can with him. You never want to do that. That's a penalty.
That's race on the restart. You see Ty Dillon on the bottom, gets inside of Regan Smith, gets him spun around. Heard Brendan Gaughan talking about that great move he made. That was it. Missed that wreck.
Joey Logano took the lead away from his teammate. Lap 49.
Joey Logano, he decided to leave with pit equipment. Brad Keselowski, he sped up pit road. So both Penske cars with pit penalties today.
Brad was able to move back up, but he did it very aggressively.
Big move on the restart into the inner loop. Picked up 3 spots in about 1 straightaway.
For Regan Smith, he thought his big trouble was in turn 1. He was recovering well from that and worked up to 12. The 62 of Brendan Gaughan and Regan get together in the carousel. Brendan ends up in the fence, and another restart. Ty Dillon really low up over the curb, gets a hold of his quarter panel of his teammate Paul Menard, spins the 33 around.
And then most recently, Kenny Habul in the 20. In turn 7. Around he goes. Ryan Reed nowhere to go for the 16. And a hard hit. Both drivers okay. So we've got Boris Said back in 5th in that 54, the Monster Energy drink 54. Boris Said may be hungry.
Those guys go take dinner break? Yeah, we have a little bit more access to food, so you're going to have to tough it out for a couple more. Kind of hungry. People are barbecuing out here. Smell some steaks. There's some food over there. Bring that thing home right there, you know, P5 or better, and we'll have a big old chili dog waiting on you here.
When I mentioned he was hungry, I was thinking it was for a top 5, not for actual food.
He's talking steaks, and they're trying to sell him a chili dog.
Chili dog, yeah.
Not sure how that's going to work.
I know what he's smelling. I rode around this entire place last night watching the K&N Pro East race on my golf cart. I rode around and watched all the different corners to try to just. This place is such a great place to come watch races.
Beautiful.
All the different braking zones, and everywhere I tried to go to watch the race, there were campers there. There wasn't an open spot around this whole facility. The place is absolutely packed, and it's great. What a great venue. The people come from all around to watch some really fun, exciting road course races.
And we're going to see a great battle for the lead with 5 to go. But let's talk about a few other people. We got J.J. Yeti in 11th, Clemens in 12th, Armstrong 13th. We got a lot of drivers with the opportunity to have some really good finishes today.
Fans coming out. It's sold out for tomorrow. They're making a weekend of it at the Glen. 2x2. They're coming into turn 6.
I got like pricklies on my arm for this next restart, and I'm not driving. I just have seen this not just today. We've seen this for 2 decades at Watkins Glen, haven't we, Jeff? All the 12 wants to do is get off to a clean start. The 22 just wants to stay on his quarter panel, but everybody behind them, they're thinking we're gaining spots. No one thinks they're just protected. Everyone in the whole field thinks they're moving forward.
This is my chance right now to make something happen.
Well, something's going to happen.
That's right. That's what they're all thinking, though. I got to pick up spots. If I don't get it now, I'm not going to have a chance to get it.
It'll be 4 to go. Pace cars off the track. Joey Logano on the inside, Brad Keselowski on the outside. Green flag back in the air. We're back to racing. Daniel Suarez slow to get up through the gears. He drops a couple spots. 3 wide again as they go through 1. Bumping and banging as they get into the S's.
Yeah, they're not getting single file for the S's now. The 2 of Brian Scott and Elliott Sadler, they're going to try to make it. Brian Scott's the winner up through the middle S, and Chase Elliott follows him through.
Chase Elliott stays right in behind the 2 of Brian Scott. A great restart once again for Joey Logano. Brad Keselowski, they're 1 and 2. Chris Buescher clean in 3rd. Behind him, Boris Said took 4th away from Ty Dillon.
Keselowski did a great job of coming out of there in 2nd. He was in the grass being pushed. I thought he was going to lose a bunch of spots, but he kept his foot in the throttle. Is still 2nd with a chance to win.
Into turn 7. This time by, it'll be 3 to go. Joey Logano now has led 36 laps of the 82 run. He has been one of the strongest, if not the strongest cars today. After a penalty, had to work his way back through the field. Was able to do it. Now his closest competition is his teammate, Brad Keselowski. But behind him, a great battle for points. Chris Buescher is 3rd. Boris Said 4th. Ty Dillon right in the title hunt is 5th. Right behind him, Brian Scott, Chase Elliott in 7th.
Boris blocking Ty right there. Ty had a run on him. Boris took the inside lane, didn't allow him the spot that he wanted. It's a good move, good block.
But that's how frustration builds. If you think you have a run and the guy in front of you blocks you all the way to the bottom of the racetrack, the next time you have that run, do you try to make the move or you just give him a little push off into the corner?
We've seen Ty has been willing to push somebody, so it's going to have to be careful who you block. Ty's a good road racer. You know, he had a road race run almost won a couple years ago and got wrecked in the last corner coming to get the checkered. So Ty has proven that he's a good road racer.
Go to Armstrong, got turned around, refired the car, and is headed the right direction again. But he was running in the top 15, now has dropped back to 23rd. As the final laps continue, under 2 to go. Paul Menard back up to 12th.
And coming, his strategy to come and get tires might work out for him. He's definitely not going to be in for the win, but perhaps a top 10, you never know. He might be able to get up to these guys here if they get side-by-side racing, but at the front of the pack, it's still Logano, Keselowski, Penske 1-2.
It's been that way most of the day. The only other 2 that have been out front today have been Chris Buescher and Chase Elliott. Between the 2 of them, they've only led 3 laps. Other than that, it's been all Penske. And they have been dominant on road courses in the Xfinity Series. Here we come into turn 6. Dillon still in front of Brian Scott, Chase Elliott, and Elliott Sadler. And out of turn 7, the white flag will go in the air one more time around the Glen. Hit your marks. Don't make any mistakes. Both are clean through turn 1. And now up through the S's. Joey Logano has never won at Watkins Glen. Not in the Xfinity Series or in the Cup Series. He chose this race. He wanted more time on the track. They don't get a lot of time on road courses. Only 2 are run for the Cup Series every year. Joey Logano wanted more seat time as he goes through 5. His teammate a half a second behind. The final 2 turns for Joey Logano and Brad Keselowski. They've got plenty of fuel. He hits his marks through 6 and back through 7. Looking for his 25th career win. Coming out of turn 7. Joey Logano's going to win at Watkins Glen.
That's right. It's all you guys. Thank you. Big back out. Awesome job by all these guys in this 12 crew. Coming out of the shop, getting this done. Awesome job, guys. Oh yeah, thank you guys.
Boris said hangs on for a top 5, and that's going to earn him a chili dog. At least that's what the crew said since he was hungry. Teammates dominating at the Glen today. They started up front 1 and 2. They finish 1 and 2 for Roger Penske. That is the 7th time that the Penske duo has finished 1 and 2. Second time it's happened here. Mike.
And a very happy Todd Gordon. It doesn't get much better than that. Winning the pole, winning the race, led 39 laps. How would you describe this day?
It's just an awesome accomplishment by this whole Snap-on team. Bunch of guys out of the shop. You know, Kevin Buskirk led this whole group, and I get the pleasure to come out here and call the race and talk to Joey through it. But a phenomenal effort by everybody at the shop and the 22 team helping build this second team car. And Penske 1-2. It's a pretty good day.
It's pretty common for a driver to do double duty at a place like this, but not so much for a crew chief. What do you take from today that might help you on Sunday?
Yeah, it's a good chance to get a dry run. This is our Cup pit crew with a backwards pit stop. So you get to, we had a mistake today, and we get to dissect that and figure out what we need to do differently tomorrow. But it's just get you back in the rhythm because it's a different race. And good for the driver, good for the crew chief, good for the crew.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Whole team going for the sweep tomorrow, Rick.
Yeah, big numbers for Joey Logano in the Xfinity Series this season. This is just his 8th start and his 4th win already. 50% of his starts he's made his way to victory lane at the end. And the domination continues on road courses. 7 wins, 4 of the last 7 races. And now up over 52% of the laps led since 2011 on road courses. Team Penske has figured out how to turn left and right.
When it got time to go, the Penske cars were almost a second faster than the rest of the field, so they just had everybody covered.
There's Regan Smith chatting with the 62 of Brendan Gaughan. We saw that there were some issues earlier between those two. Joey Logano taking advantage of the different grandstands around Watkins Glen. He'll do burnouts, donuts around the track in front of all the fans. And a great crowd on hand here today. He doesn't want to get too far away from victory lane. Oh, and we've got issues. Ty Dillon, Regan Smith. We saw Ty Dillon get into Regan Smith on a restart. The discussion hasn't gone well.
And we got 2 more road course races coming in the next 3 weeks.
And Bristol. Don't forget about
that's a good one to mix in between the 2 road courses is Bristol.
Really does a driver have to have a conversation with 2 different drivers?
My goodness. Regan Smith did today. Ty Dillon finishes this race in 5th. The day did not go as well for Regan Smith. Dave.
And chatting with his dad right now is Ty Dillon. Ty, a lot of contact out there on the track today. What do you think Regan's point was trying to be here?
I don't know. He didn't say much. So he's going to wreck me, but we'll see. You know, I hate that for his guys, but it's a mistake on my fault. Honestly, I was going to talk to him about it, but I guess he didn't want to talk. So if he wants to do that, I'll meet him in the bus line. We'll handle it. I'm not afraid. But proud of our Yingling Light Lager Chevrolet. Nick and the boys did a good job. I just made 2 real big mistakes, and I took full blame for it. But you want to come down here picking a fight, it's a different game. I'll get whatever you want.
Describe what you were trying to do on that restart, Ty.
I got a good run on Boris, or that was the second one. I got a good run, cut to the inside, and it's the first time I've done that here at this racetrack, and I've seen people be able to do it, and I just didn't complete it. As simple as that. I made a big mistake. Got to wheel hopping, and there was no saving. I did it 2 times in a row. I'm very disappointed in myself for doing that. Not only did I tear up everybody else's car, but I tore up mine. Very apologetic about that, but not about after the race.
Top 5 for Ty Dillon today. Mike?
And Regan Smith walking back toward the garage. What was your side of the story?
Well, I got dumped in turn 1. It was pretty plain and simple, and I don't think I'm the only one that he dumped today, so it's disappointing for Tax Slayer, all the guys at Junior Motorsports that work really hard on these race cars. I guarantee I might have lost the championship today, but he sure as hell did too. There's 0 chance that 3-car wins this championship, and I'm going to make sure of it.
He took responsibility for what happened on the restart. He actually took issue with the comments afterwards, but as far as restart goes, he took responsibility.
Well, of course he did. He came out of all of them unscathed. I'd take responsibility too, as well as if I knew that the car was back there in 30th place, out of my way. You ain't got to worry about it when you do that.
Regan Smith, we're going to let him go. Obviously very upset, guys.
I mean, tempers always get heated, and Regan Smith definitely not happy at the end of this one. He comes home 20th.
Yeah, I mean, what do you say? It's 2 simple points. Ty Dillon's right. He made 2 mistakes. Regan Smith is right. He got spun around. He was the guy that took the biggest end of the punishment. But in the end, this race is over. They still going to have to race together week after week.
They're racing for a championship, and they all care, and they want to win badly.
Welcome back to the Glen. Let's go right to victory lane. Marty.
Joey Logano has pulled into victory lane after all of those donuts. He's done this 25 times in his career. This one a little sweeter. The first one at a road course. For Joey Logano, his traditional getting out of the car with a steering wheel. Hey, didn't the motor guy tell you to take care of the motor after that? You did burnouts all the way around this racetrack, Joey.
You can take care of your car and still do a burnout, I think, but this is my first road course win. It means so much. It shows so much depth in Team Penske to be able to throw together a second Xfinity team pretty quick and put together a car that's obviously capable of winning and set on the pole today. And it's fun to be a part of it, but led by Kevin Buskirk through practice and making the adjustments. And then we brought Todd in and called the race. So everything went as planned. It's fun to have a car that's that fast and out there racing these guys, and when you're racing your teammate like that for the win, that shows a lot about their organization.
Walk me through the drive from 22nd to the lead, and were you worried at all after that penalty that you might not be able to get back up there?
I was a little bit. I was partly a little bit nervous about it. It was mainly because of accidents and crashes in front of you, and you get caught up and stuff a lot of times. And I felt like my car was fast enough to get there. I didn't know if I was going to run them all down in that roll and run like that. I didn't think that would happen, but showed a lot of strength in our race car, and it's cool to get these guys in the victory lane. I've been so close to winning this 22 team on the Cup side and over here on the Xfinity side. We've been so close to winning here lately, and it's nice to get Team Penske a win and get myself back in victory lane. This pit crew is the same guys that's going to be out there tomorrow, so it's fun to get a little morale up.
And nice to check off the box. Joey Logano now a road course winner. Kelly?
With Brad Keselowski, and Brad, I know you don't like finishing second, especially to a teammate, I imagine. What was it like battling with Joey all day, though?
It was good. It felt kind of like a Formula One type race where you got team cars that are really strong, and it was going to come down to us too. And we both had some adversity with pit road stuff. I made a screw up and just made too many mistakes to beat Joey. So trying too hard to get to the next level, and I need to rope it back in a little bit. But he did a great job, him and his team, and it's a great day for Team Penske to finish 1-2.
And certainly the 22 didn't come away completely unscathed. Saw a little bit of body damage. What was this race like? It was pretty intense.
Yeah, there was a lot going on today. I think you saw that on pit road afterwards. These road courses are always very interesting, and they're tough. The moves you have to make to make something happen are always going to be aggressive, and there's always going to be some hurt feelings, and that's part of it.
And now both these guys get to go back and do it again tomorrow, Rick.
Exactly. And they have to go another 8 laps. It'll be 90 tomorrow. 82 today. The fastest and the first to the checkered flag was Joey Logano. Brad Keselowski, again, the 7th time that they have finished 1 and 2. And the 2nd time that's happened here at Watkins Glen. Ty Dillon, he finishes 5th. That's important as we continue to look down the grid. Jeremy Clements, J.J. Yaley, Brandon Godovic, another great run for that team.
Yeah, Ryan Sieg, Daniel Suarez in a backup car ended up in the top 50. Regan Smith, though, ends up 20th after a couple incidents on the racetrack.
Back in the next 10, Cale Conley started 25th, increased a couple spots.
And Kenny Habul back there in 29th with a big accident off turn 7. Ben Rhodes.
Only down at 39th, saw the big fire in his car.
Yeah, Ben Rhodes lost an engine early after having to start in the back. Had a good recovery going, but mechanically it didn't stay together.
And the 42 of Kyle Larson with issues early on, finished outside of the top 40. Take a look at our point standings. After this, Chris Buescher, 24 points in front of both Chase Elliott and Ty Dillon. Regan Smith, 57 points back. And let's hear from the guy second in points. He's with Mike.
A top 10 finish for Chase Elliott, 7th in fact. Kind of crazy out there today. How would you describe what you saw throughout the afternoon?
Yeah, it's definitely a wild day for sure. I kind of ruined it for my guys. I think got into Regan there, kind of just made a mistake and spun out real early, lost our track position, and it was just hard to get back. So we had a super fast Napa Chevrolet today. I hate I messed it up, but we'll move on. Hopefully, try to have a better run next week.
Strong run for Chase Elliott, Dave.
Mike Borisset comes home 4th. Describe your afternoon.
I mean, I was patient for a long time, but oh, what a feeling this Toyota. I mean, the Monster Energy kept the old 53-year-old going all day long. And, I mean, I've been racing for 30 years, and I've never had a ride this good. I mean, this Monster Joe Gibbs team is so good. Toyota engines are strong. And I just wanted to get all those people out there to support the people that support racing. And nobody does it better than Monster. I mean, it's an American company, Rodney Sachs, Mark Hall, Mitch Covington. I mean, they do such a great job sponsoring all the sports I love to watch on TV, and now they're sponsoring me. So I just had a blast out there. To get to do this today was so much fun, and to finish 4th, not bad, and hope I can go to Mid-Ohio next week and maybe get that W.
Good to have you back. Hope for that for you as well. Rick?
And that's high praise coming from Borisset. He's been involved in racing for quite some time. To have the best road course car he's ever had with Joe Gibbs Racing, a great opportunity for him. But we saw some craziness out there on the racetrack, and it ended up on pit road after the race. Some wild things happening, but they do happen at road courses.
Well, they do, and especially, it always seems to be on restarts. Things get so crazy on restarts because it's your opportunity to pick up spots. So, it's not unusual to see what we saw today.
This was Ty Dillon and Regan Smith on one of the restarts. Ty Dillon getting in a little bit too deep, took responsibility for it. Regan Smith obviously hurt the worst of the two in this as he got turned around and ended up with a 20th place finish. Ty Dillon ended up top 5. Ty was going to own up to it, and it got a little heated.
Yeah, it's always hard. You want to go down and confront the guy and have a discussion with him after the race. But really, after the race, nothing good ever seems to be resolved directly after the race. Even internally, if you have an issue within your own team, I've always learned you're better off to wait, let everybody calm down. Racing is an emotional sport. That's what makes it so much fun to watch, because everyone wants to win. So when things don't go your way, it's very, emotion-filled, and that was exciting to watch, but a little bit of an unproductive conversation, if there was any conversation.
Well, you feel like when something was taken away from you, you have to go tell a guy, look, that wasn't right. I'm not going to stand up for it, because, if you don't, sometimes it'll keep getting taken from you. So there's times in your career where you just feel like you got to stand your ground, and that's why we see these things on pit road from time to time.
And we have to remember the next 3 races are between 2 road courses and Bristol, tracks that you could retaliate. Will we see retaliation from Regan Smith?
Well, I don't know if we'll see retaliation, but I think we'll see a lot of hard racing, and ultimately hard racing creates these situations. The fact that people want to win these races, the fact they want to win championships, the fact they work so hard and they care about this, that's why it's so emotional. So when we go to racetracks like the road courses, like the short tracks, that's when we see these incidences, because the cars are so close together. It's hard to pass. It's very competitive. People overdrive and it causes issues, and everybody gets upset.
Yeah, the word that comes to mind for these next 3 races are compromise. Every race we're going to go to for the next 3, you're going to have to give a guy an inch. And what this does is this kind of gives you a list that you might not go in there and spin a guy out on purpose, but if you're to his bumper, to his left rear, that might be far enough for a couple cars in the field. So whether these carry over to the next races, I don't know, but these aren't going to be the last spin outs or disappointed drivers we've seen in the next month or so.
You used the word compromise. I used the word chaos. You used it earlier in the show as far as what it was going to be like if you were mid-pack or not up front, and we saw it. It was chaotic.
Wait till tomorrow. We get to do it all over again.
And you're going to be able to enjoy it. Tomorrow on NBCSN at 1:30 Eastern, Sprint Cup Series racing from Watkins Glen. And coming up next, Lucas Oil Pro Motocross from Unadilla National. Penske dominant as they were able to stay out front for 79 of the 82 laps. In the end, even though it was chaotic on pit road and on the racetrack, Penske was able to dominate, finishing 1 and 2 once again. Joey Logano gets his first ever win on a road course, and it happens at Watkins Glen.
This copyrighted telecast may not be reproduced, retransmitted, or used in any form without the authorized written consent of NASCAR Broadcasting. NASCAR would like to thank all of our loyal fans for your continued support, and we hope you enjoyed today's broadcast.